All right. What's up, everybody? How you doing out there? Welcome back to the show. This is last week's fights, except it is this week's fights because tonight we are going over each and every fight from UFC 323, Dvalishvili versus Jan 2, giving you all of our predictions. Of course, my name is Thinker St. James, as I said, and to do all of the predicting with your boy, the man, the myth, the legend, the Ohio player, Mr. Chase Parton. How are you, sir?
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I'm down. There have not been fights over the weekend. Like I'm not really in the mood to like live life. I don't know, guys. This is just really hard for me because there wasn't fights that I got to watch over the weekend. At least there wasn't ones that I wanted to necessarily watch. I watched a few. I dabbled, what I'll say. But as of right now, life is going to continue on in a very good way because this card, I'm telling you, we got some good things to talk about.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can be happy about the upcoming card. You can also be happy about the fact that the end of the pay-per-view era is upon us, Chase. This is the last card on the ESPN contract, and thus the last card, at least for us in the United States, where we are going to have to pay a premium for viewing of these fights. I mean, this is the very last premium event that is going to be on that contract. We're going to be moving over to Paramount Plus, leaving ESPN behind. How you feeling?
Oh, I'm actually loving it. Not just the fact that we are done with the pay per view model, but I think it's just a very good send off for Josh Van to be on the last pay per view. They know they can get so much fucking money out of it. And you know how I know? Is because that's the fact of the matter. They could have put Josh Van anywhere they want. He could have fucking headlined in the Apex if he wasn't raking in dough for the promotion right now. But other than that, the PLE model, very, very good. I don't think now that I've seen a lot of other large market sports on these streaming services, I don't think there's going to be a premium price for the UFC. I've watched WWE pay per views on Peacock, on ESPN now, and and Netflix. I mean, Netflix doesn't necessarily have the pay per view status of the PLEs, but every Raw event is damn near a fucking pay per view for them. So I don't know. I think UFC on Paramount is going to come with the same price that we've already paid for our yearly subscription. I don't know if
Well,
anybody else jumped on. By the way, we tried to put you guys on. So go ahead.
true. It's a good point. I mean, and now you might still be able to get some kind of discounts during the Cyber Monday, Black Friday time that we're in currently. But yes, I mean, that's the whole point of the way that this new model was supposed to work, was that we were going to be getting everything with the price of the subscription. Now, granted, we did find out that the subscription is going to be increasing in price. So, a little bit of a bait and switch, perhaps, as far as the actual number goes. But theoretically speaking, and this is at least what we were promised. Who knows how it's going to be going in a number of months down the road, but entry level, we should be getting everything for the price of the subscription. So no additional fees needed, as far as we have been told. Now, of course, like I said, the bait and switch aspect of it could be just around the corner, but let's just it's the season of thanks. We're giving thanks here, and hopefully we can just stay thankful for what we're getting now and wait for the other foot to drop, I guess.
Yeah, we'll see. But as of right now, I'm liking it. I'm liking the ideas, following suit. I've always said, everybody thinks that they know ball, like they know what they're doing, and then slowly over time, you see people start doing some copycat moves where they start making the moves of the people that they know are making the right moves. Netflix, for example. I mean, they have so many different avenues that they're going down, and people are trying to mimic what they have going, and trying to have their own sort of live events. Netflix is following suit with that necessarily, but they've been paving the way ever since. If you want my opinion, the people over at Netflix, I think the people in the board, you need to keep an eye on their names because wherever they go to when they disperse to go make their own companies, probably going to be profitable, at least in some regard. At least you pick and choose. We'll see which ones out of the slew are. But as of right now, the people over at Paramount, we are yet to see what's going on because they're so new of a service. So
Yeah, definitely true. And we've been seeing that in the fact that, if you already have it like we do, I honestly think I've turned it on maybe twice, in the time that I've had it. There's really not that much on there. So I'm waiting for UFC to make it worth the subscription, of course. And we'll see what else we get in addition to that over the time that we have it. So
I
You know,
maybe I maybe shouldn't even say it this way, but I'm being so serious. As a public investor of Paramount, I have yet to turn on the service because the UFC is not on there. I'm just breaking it. I'm lying. I did watch SpongeBob. It was like an episode. I bought it and I was like, okay, a year. Let me turn on SpongeBob. We'll just turn something on that I know is there. I watched like a episode. I watched fucking Bubble Boy get popped or something. I was like, all right, well, that was it. That was it. And then now,
fair.
again, have not turned it back on. So I'm waiting for UFC to be on there. They could have really roped in everybody if Josh Van was on that first PLE, but they know for fact the last $60 just out front charge that they can get from everybody watching this event. Josh Van's name is on it. We might as well just go for it. Fuck it.
Fair enough. I mean, Josh Van's name is on it, and so are a lot of other people. So we're going to be talking about this card here in just a moment. But before we do that, we got to shout out all of the people in the chat getting in early on the show. Shout out to Beeb, shout out to CTE and Sarah Toby coming in right at the start. Appreciate all of you for being here on this week's fights.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
All right. Well, I mean, this is really all that we have for tonight. Actually, really, before we do move on, actually, the one last thing that I want to say, you were talking about last week and not having any fights to watch. I ended up kind of branching out. We went deeper, Chase. We went deeper into the MMA trenches here, and we watched a promotion out of Brazil called Acesso. Acesso MMA 11 was the event. Have to give these guys a special shout out. The quality of the fights was pretty good.
And I have to mention that I was there for a little bit of it. And you know how I'm going to prove it to you. And I know you didn't ask for proof, but everybody out there in the chat, if you are looking for your next up and coming star, his name is Frankenstein.
Let's
And you are
go.
going to be impressed. I didn't get to watch this one, but I can tell you from the performance on the microphone that I got from Thinker St. James, this was a performance in the cage to behold. I don't even know if it was a cage, but the fact that Thinker was out here watching these low level regional promotions, I mean, shout out to him for having Fight Pass. That welcome code is good in good use.
Well, this one actually was not on Fight Pass.
Oh,
This
shout
this was
out
just
you.
an
Never
yeah.
mind.
No, this is something I'm trying to do a little bit more. It's the reason I bring it up. Is just to say that there's some definite good entertainment to be had on the regional scene. This was free streaming on YouTube. So shout out to Kaposa at Gerbaka Hitman, who puts out a list every week of all of the combat sports around the world and where you can watch it and stuff. So I was able to find it on there, and I'm going to definitely be doing the Fight Pass thing as well, hopefully a little bit more as time goes on. But this one was a free one on YouTube. And again, shout out to Acesso for a decent event. Yes, it's Frankstein. I thought it was
Whatever.
Frankenstein at first, but it's Frankstein, and this dude he has potential. Also saw a crazy armbar setup that I don't think I had seen before. It was almost like an omoplata, but it was an armbar. It was it like kind of was a hybrid move that was really cool looking. So good deal going on down there. And shout out to the bag lady, and anybody who's on the stream knows what I'm talking about.
And just because I'm trying to make filler conversation, this armbar, CTE was talking about there's many botched arm bars in this one.
That's true.
The thing that I'll ask about the armbar, and I actually don't know the technicality of this move, but you said this was the most unique armbar sequence that you have seen. I mean, I when Robert Valentine got a submission on Patty McCory in The Ultimate Fighter, I'm pretty sure that was an armbar, and he didn't use his hands. It was kind of the craziest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was one of the most impressive submissions. So if it was something like that, I could see being wowed by it. But I'd have to see a side by side because I think we're maybe explaining somewhat of the same thing.
It could be. Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch that one. Of course, two Robert Valentine fans right here. I should go back and rewatch it just out of respect. But yeah, it was a crazy setup. It was basically like the guy was top down and had the arm kind of putting pressure with his own arm on the joint. It was an interesting setup to be sure. And I say this kind of leading into the point that the only real criticism I had of Acesso is the lack of replays. They did not have a replay system in place. So if you wanted to go see this great armbar, you had to manually reverse it. Luckily, it was on YouTube, so you could do that. But if there's anything that I could give as advice to Acesso, you got a good product down there. Just implement a replay system.
Did they or did they not take selfies with the unconscious people?
This was the other thing. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So we were talking about the bag lady. So the bag lady was a woman who was a member of the sponsor team. There was a company called Long Jack that I guess is a
Longboats
no,
is
no,
any affiliation?
I don't think it's related to Longboat, but I mean, there should be a connection there if there's not
Okay.
already one. But this is like a supplement company, like a protein company down in Brazil. All over this event, they were on the mat. They had a video package. Like this is a major sponsor of this event. And one of the things that they did was they had this lady come in with these big tote bags with the logos on it, and she would take pictures with the fighter after the fight, or both fighters, both teams, win, lose, or otherwise. So this lady is sitting there. This dude, it really reminded me of the meme. You know the meme of the dude, like it's a dude in a casket, and there's the guy like posing like in front of it. Like it reminded me of that a little bit with the lady like she's sitting there kneeling down with the bag, smiling while this dude is just coming back to consciousness. So that's another, I guess, criticism that I would have. That ain't it, Long Jack.
Yeah, that is very interesting. I think those are two of the things that I remember from the stream. If anybody out there is curious on what we were talking about, please go rewatch the stream that Thinker had the other day because it was definitely enjoyable. And you also can go watch the fights along with it because they are on YouTube. Hopefully there's a VOD for them, but we'll see.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what I was gonna say. If the VOD is out there of that, you can put it on one screen and the watch along on the other, and you get the full impact of as if you were there. So, very good
100%.
time though. And yeah, I want to do more of those. So again, shout out to Capoza for keeping the list of all of the combat sports going on around the world. That was very helpful.
Yeah, I love the watch alongs that are on YouTube, like when the fights are on YouTube. That's why I like doing one specifically because most of the fights that I can see are free on YouTube. I do have Prime as well, and I get to watch those. Shout out this Friday, we are gonna have a one card at 9. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna be home exactly for it, but we're gonna figure something out. So
Right on.
one is awesome that is on YouTube, and so I'm glad there's other promotions. You gave a shout out to that website or that channel that posts all the MMA events going on throughout the day or whatever, or throughout the week. Make sure to send me that. I feel like you have before and I didn't take note, but I need to because that's important.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Grabaka Hitman, and I will definitely link it to you. All right, yeah, well, so I mean, other than that, I guess it is about time to start getting into the fights that we do have coming up. Shout out to Nathan in the chat checking in, saying that he subscribed. Appreciate you, brother. Um,
Uh, can we talk about one thing? Just
sure,
because,
of course.
again, we got to make something out of it. Let's talk about these bland ass arena names because they just want you to know that T-Mobile owns it. Like, bro, can we get some cool? Where's the O2? Where's the Coliseum? Like, give me some cool venue names. Not, when listen, when there was talks, and this might have been a meme back when you couldn't even decipher this. Fucking, I'm trying to think of the something. Oh God, this is gonna sound so bad if I get it wrong. They wanted to name some arena in Miami the BBC Arena. I don't know if this was true or not, but I thought it was. Listen, that sounds fine. That's great. That's attraction right there. People will be like, "I'm going to the BBC Arena." Whatever you want to say. T-Mobile Arena. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. I don't get excited about that. The O2, I will argue, is not the greatest venue when you see inside of it, but it does have some aura to it. Like everybody in England is like going to the O2. It sounds like important. Like that's like I don't know, going to the T-Mobile Arena, especially if you're just like if you don't really get it, you're coming to America and you're going to the T-Mobile Arena to fight to like watch a sport. It's like why am I going to the T-Mobile store? Like I don't know. I feel like this might be a common misconception. If it's not, and I'm assuming people are stupid, I would be that stupid. That's the thing that I'm saying. Like if I went anywhere and I'm like I'm going to a sporting event, it's at the Apple Arena. You'd be like, that's kind of weird. And like, I don't know. Why is it only me that has these questions? Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I think that the people who spend the $40 million to slap their name on the building
Billions.
would,
It's
yeah. I was going to say, however many hundreds of millions of dollars, like, they don't want it to be jumbled up with a whole bunch of other stuff. But I guess to your credit, though, it's like there is in Boston is the Garden. And now it's like think the TD Garden or it's like the whatever garden, whoever the
yeah,
sponsor is, plus
it
the
is
gardens
TD
are.
Garden.
So there you go. I mean, like, so it's like you can still spruce it up in a way and have the sponsor on top of it. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's a happy medium there, perhaps. So we just need to have more creative names for the buildings, and then you add the sponsor to that.
Well, I agree. And then like even when you have sports teams to the arenas, like you can get fancy with it, like, oh, if they're in the Lions Den or something like that, it brings brings life to it. It actually makes it seem like there's life to the city. I think of T-Mobile Arena and it's in Las Vegas. I'm like, that's pretty fucking lifeless. It sounds like it to me. I don't know, just crazy, soulless. Just have a fun name. Like, just am I asking too much? Everybody, let me know in the chat.
I mean, Mr. T-Mobile would definitely say so. Mr. T-Mobile would say that you need to call it the T-Mobile Arena every time that you refer to it.
He'd be like, actually, please, Mr. Mobile was my father. I'm T.
Just T, yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, either way, these are the names that we get. These are the
Yeah, true.
buildings that we get, and this is really internationally the same way it feels like too, because I think that pretty much every country. Even over in Abu Dhabi and the Middle East, a lot of those are sponsored buildings. I mean, they'll have like an acronym or an initialism as the name. It was like the APBH or something, I think, over in Qatar or whatever it is. So, I mean, I think that those are still like sponsored by either like the governments or whatever. So, it's just, this is the way of the world, brother. The money moves everything, and arenas are no different.
Yeah, I hear you. Just it's just disgraceful to an extent. We should have these fighters fighting in the coolest named places. Just name it something different for the weekend. Like, I don't even care. Like, if it's not the team, if you just trick us in the advertisement and be like, yeah, they're going to such and such, I'd actually be okay with it because I'm not going to do the research to even care later. If you tell me it's the T-Mobile Arena, I know they don't. Like, that's not like a promotional fucking attraction. But like, now that I know, I'm looking at it, it's just bland, man. I don't know.
Well, I'll make you this promise. How about this? This is, and I'll keep this legitimately. If this channel reaches 10 million subscribers one day, we will pick an arena around the world, sponsor it, and it will become the Yamadome.
Gotcha.
Because
Like it.
I like that. I think that's a hard name. That goes hard.
10 million subscribers is good. So chat, start reposting because we need to own an arena for some reason. I mean, we have big opportunities here if we have something associated with a dome in Yama.
Yeah, I mean, 9 million plus. Get on it.
Yeah, true. Exactly. CTE stadium shows would add the vibe you're looking for. Exactly.
Bingo. There you go. So this is the future. So keep it in mind for now. You heard it here now. A couple years down the line, literally just a couple years, we're going to be on buildings.
100%.
Well, for the show that we have and the building that we have, this is UFC 323. This is Dvalishvili versus Jan. This is the last pay-per-view for the conceivable future. So let's start running this thing on down here. Starting it off all the way down at the bottom is Muhammad Naimov versus Myron Santos. And I got the information for you. Naimov is 13-3, 4-1, excuse me, in his last 5 in the UFC. All right, no, actually, it is 5-1, I believe. 5-1 in the UFC, period. 6 fights in the UFC. So 13-3, 5-1 in the UFC. His KO wins are over Jamie Malarkey and Eric Silva. Decision win over Nathaniel Wood, Khan Offley, and Bogdan Grad. Sub loss to Felipe Lima. Lost on the Contender Series in 2020. Still made it into the UFC 3 years later. Santos is 17-1. He is 3-0 in the UFC, plus 1 Ultimate Fighter finale win. KO win over Khan Offley, split decision win over Francis Marshall, unanimous decision win over Sadiq Youssef. Only loss in his career is in LFA to Dan Argueta, of all people.
Okay.
I know. It's interesting to me when I found that out too.
A lot of interesting information there. Muhammad Naimov, the wins that he's had, just off of Jamie Malarkey and this Eric Silva dude. It's not even the Eric Silva dude that I thought it was. The Eric Silva that I thought it was potentially was the guy that I saw headline in 2014 in Cincinnati against Matt Brown. That was not him. This is just some random guy. But
yeah,
the point that I'm making is beating Eric Silva, beating Khan Ofly. I mean, the same dude, that Myron Santos beat, and then Bogdan Grad. I mean, these are people arguably. One, Eric Silva, we don't even know who that dude is. Jamie Malarkey knocking him out is obviously, it's a given. And then the other 2 people we know are just not that good. Myron Santos, though, this is where it gets to a pickle, because everything I've said will make you think I'm going Myron Santos. This dude, not as good as we thought. Not as good as he should be. I mean, the good thing about him is he's young. He's confident, maybe a little too overconfident when it comes to believing. When it comes to the Francis Marshall thing, I rage baited a little too hard because I'm watching a fight that I don't think this guy won, but I won money off of it. So you gotta chalk it up sometimes. But Myra Santos, the fight with Francis Marshall, I probably would agree you did not necessarily win. You also beat Kano Fly, who we probably are not going to think is that good. Um, but back to the good things, and the overconfidence is potentially a downfall. But he's very dedicated to the craft. He has all the accolades that matter. He's still a grindy type of guy. 25 years old. There's plenty of room to grow. I think he should beat Naimov, but Naimov, honestly, I don't. Ah, God damn it. Let's hear what you got to say.
Yeah, I mean, really, to me, this is two pretty well-rounded guys overall. Naimov is the dude who is from Tajikistan, rides for the country, has entire stadiums. Talking about stadiums, he fills entire stadiums for his fights in Tajikistan, if you recall. So there is a little bit of pride there that carrying the country on your back kind of thing, under represented country in the sport. But skill for skill wise, I think that both these guys are very good with their wrestling. And I think that's almost going to cancel each other out to an extent. So when it comes down to the striking, I mean, again, it's almost a coin toss, because like Santos has flecks of good striking, but he peppers it in amongst a lot of other activities. One of these guys that's constantly in motion and not always to his benefit. Like, I feel like sometimes he doesn't stay the course in sequences where he probably should, like, be a little bit more stand your ground, a little bit more stationary. Naimov, a dude who can get out of situations pretty well. He's evasively talented. So I mean, overall, this is a kind of a coin flip to me. Like, I feel like it's going to be one of those ones where, like, when we actually see it, it'll be like, oh well, that was obvious. But I'm leaning more towards Naimov, and it's not because of me agreeing with all those things you said about Santos. The overconfidence kind of concerns me a little bit. The fact that he did not look that great against Marshall concerns me a little bit. Either way, I put all those things to the side and just go skill for skill. I think that Naimov might just be a little bit more of a safer bet.
I think my thought process is that my Naimov has wrestling, very good wrestling. He's experienced with his wrestling. It's not necessarily the Dagestani style, but we saw with the other Tajikistan guy, the Eagle.
Mm-hmm.
They have some pretty decent wrestling. It might not be the method that not everybody can crack, but I think Myron Santos might get held down a little too much in this, potentially get held down and just not get up for an entire round. I think that's the worst part of what it could be. Naimov's not going to really do much damage to him, but it's going to look bad that Myron Santos is accepting the back position. That's potentially what I think is the worst thing ever. What I also think is very likely, Myron Santos was struggling with his weight ever since Tough. He still has not decided to go to 55. I think this dude potentially could miss weight here, but here's also I think Naimov also, I'm pretty sure he's missed weight before. If I'm wrong about that, check me. But I think we could see a catch weight here. I think either both dudes are gonna just meet in the middle, or we could just see both of them miss because they're both idiots. I don't know. I could see that happening here.
Well, fair enough. I mean, and if that's the case, I guess we'll have to assess at that point. But let's assume, for the sake of the show, that these guys are going to both come in where they're supposed to be. So if you're going strictly off of everything being equal.
I Now that CTE put Santos, I don't feel like, since he's confident in Santos, I'm like, oh man, I like it, but I feel like it's just not the, I don't know. I don't think it's the right call because he hasn't proven that he's the guy for it yet. Like, I think Naimov is not necessarily the greatest, but he's somebody that you have to, and I'm pretty sure, again, check me if I'm wrong on this. Is this not the guy who will grab the cage and kick dicks like all the entirety of the matchups?
Oh, I mean, I honestly, I don't know if that's the
I'm
case.
pretty
I
sure
don't
this dude
remember.
might be a little dirty, but if I'm putting, I think this is just my memory. Maybe it's another dude who look. Maybe I'm thinking of Gafarov, uh, Ga- Gafarov, something
Amu and
like
Gafarov, yeah. Well,
that.
that's a whole nother set of
Maybe that's who
circumstances
I'm
with that
thinking
guy.
of. Yeah, I'm not too sure, but yeah, I think Naimov is going to be my choice. I think he's more experienced, a little older. I think this is good. I think that's good.
True. And to Showbiz checking in the chat saying Naimov lost to Bantamweight Lima. Yes, he did lose to Felipe Lima. I don't think that that's going to necessarily be how this one goes down. Like what I was saying too is that I think that wrestling for wrestling, it's going to be a kind of a little bit. It could end up in stalemating positions. That's what I'm hoping does not happen, is that we end up with a whole lot of cage clinching and a lot of inactivity out of these two guys. But you don't think that's going to be the case?
I know Santos is he's got accolades for wrestling and grappling. I know this, but I've seen plenty of times. I just can't tell you the last time I've been like, wow, the Brazilian, he's out wrestling this guy, this Middle Eastern guy, whatever the region is where they come from. He's not necessarily the Dagestani, like I said. This is like the one that nobody can crack, but they got some good wrestling all over the region over there. So I think Santos getting wrestled, I'm not going to be surprised by that. I'd be more surprised if he, like you said, they might negate each other. I think I'd be surprised by that, not going to lie. If Santos, the first one or two, I think he might be able to stuff it. But I think these guys are pretty relentless with the wrestling sometimes, and it's the third, fourth shot. I mean, shooting 12 takedowns. You gotta stuff 12 takedowns. And if they get three or four, that's potentially the entirety of the round. So I'm just saying,
Well, and that's why, though, that what I'm hoping is that if they do end up going down that road, that we see a little bit more of a striking affair here. And if that's the case, I mean, Santos is going to need to step up with his striking a little bit. It's not like, who's doing pretty good with it on The Ultimate Fighter. But as we know, the levels to the sport come at you very quickly. And as we have seen, as he's been progressing up, he's been, I think, lacking in the big show, even in his wins. So, this is the time that he really needs to set himself apart if he is that guy. Naimov would be a great person to do that against. Like, this is the exact right level in Francis Marshall should have been that, but we know that was a lot closer than it should have been. So like, this would be a great one to be like, okay, he really is that guy now. So if he comes out here with some really good sharp striking and get the job done that way, that would be awesome. But I think Naimov is going to be able to be the one to do that exact thing the other way.
Chat's making some good points here. More faith in Santos' ability to grow at 25. Naimov's more stagnant. I agree, but I think the consistent level of Naimov of being what he is. I mean, it could be good or bad in this. It depends on if Santos is ready to step up and actually put on. So, like the performance that he put on against Khan Ofly. I mean, first round knockout, it's good, and that's what we like to see. But like, we need the striking confidence. I think the striking, Santos should have the better hand here. I think he should have the better hand here, but he, it's a tough one. I like Santos and I've been rooting for him since tough, but what I've seen has not necessarily been what a great fighter normally shows me. So I'm just hesitant, but I would really like to pick Santos here. Maybe, maybe I will. Maybe I will at the end of the day.
I think that, he kind of did himself no favors after the Marshall fight by like being as cocky as he was when it was that close. It almost reminds me a little bit of Patty after the Gordon fight. But I mean, look where Patty ended up with all of that. So, if he comes out here and gets another nice win and backs up the cockiness, then, fair enough, then fair play, right?
You're actually making really good points, because I think some fighters do have that point where they're like, okay, I was doing a little too much. Bo Nickel even kind of had that.
Sure.
Let me do what I'm doing, but let me not just blatantly be stupid. Like, I don't know. So good points here. Okay, with this thought process, 25 years old, always getting better. All right, we're taking Myron Santos. Let's do it.
All right, you go for it. I'm sticking with my guns. I'm taking Naimov on this one.
Oh, damn, I thought you were on the Santos train.
Nah, not with this one, man. I mean, this is one of those ones, like I said, if after the fact it turns out to be like he really is that guy, I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes perfect sense at this point. But just off of strictly bar for bar right now, I'm going for Naimov here.
Naimov, I actually did see somebody say that in the Discord earlier. Naimov has a win over Nathaniel Wood. That is pretty crazy good.
Oh yeah, I put that.
Oh, did you say that earlier?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, well, I guess that tracks too. This one, yeah, really. I mean, if you think about Naimov's wins, I mean, the ones that these are decision wins, but like a decision win over Nathaniel Wood, Khan Ofly, whatever. But Bogdan Grad, up until this last fight, was somebody that we were thinking was pretty all right. So these are pretty decent wins, I mean, in the Felipe Lima, yeah, that's not necessarily the greatest loss, but get caught in a sub. it
Yeah.
happens. I mean, I wouldn't be too mad at it. So, um,
Oh, yeah, he did the double prayer hands. Oh, man, that was a crazy sub. Yeah, that was hilarious.
so yeah, well, all of that being equal, I'm going to stick with Naimov, and as you may know, if you are a longtime viewer, or if you are new, we will tell you that we are streaming to our individual channels. Yama Show here, CP Smalls over there for Chase. Like the channel that you think has the more based takes on these fights.
Yes, absolutely. And if you guys didn't know already, this guy.
Yeah,
Just
right,
saying.
exactly. Always,
Yeah.
that's definitely true. But yeah, so I mean, anything else on this one?
No, I like that. That was a good one. I think came around to a good decision here. I like Santos.
True. Yeah, fair enough. And like, and as I had said, if he ends up taking it in an emphatic fashion, that will be my last note. Is that that's all that I really want. Is that like he is making himself out to be the guy. He won the Ultimate Fighter. That should be the guy. Go out there and be the guy. And then now the conversation becomes a lot different for me and all of the trepidation that I have.
All right, the conversation's not done, guys. I know the chat's going to get mad that we keep talking about these random prelim matchups, but you made a really good point and you didn't even try to say it. He's the Ultimate Fighter. What have I been saying about these guys?
You have been, yes,
They
the
are
Ultimate
not
Fighters.
very good. I
Not
don't know what
not
to
it.
tell you. I
Yeah.
mean, some of them are just not it, and it's been most of them that we've seen. I mean, Joseph Morales has got a lot on his shoulder. Myron Santos. I mean, Bracatona might have just retired. Like I don't even know where that dude's at. Like you can't even name the. And that dude's already a tough. It's crazy that they have to keep bringing these guys back. Anyway, I'm still taking Santos.
Fair. Like he needs to buck the trend, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you're walking around with the big crystal trophy, man. You got to live up to that.
Yeah, 100%. He wears that damn lug nut around his neck. Like, come on.
Guy's got to bust out, dude. He was out there walking dogs for a living before this. He's got to live up to the Ultimate Fighter's stature. And now that you're getting a couple paychecks, you can't be resting on that.
True, 100%.
So go out there and be the man. If not, Naimov can be the man.
Ay, ay, ay.
All right. Well, this one next is a little bit easier, I would say. This is Mansour Abdul Malik versus Antonio Tricoli. Abdul Malik is 8-0-1, 2-0-1, plus a win on the Contender Series in his last, in the UFC rather. KO wins over Dusko Todorovic and Nick Klein. KO win over Cody Brundage got overturned to a draw, if you recall. That was an odd set of circumstances that did end up getting overturned. Antonio Tricoli is 12-5. He is 0-2 in the UFC. KO losses to Shara Magomedov, or a KO loss to Shara Magomedov, sub loss to Trayshawn Gore, sub win on the Contender Series, overturned to a no contest. That was due to a PED pop.
Yeah, this is a hilarious matchup, and I think you guys just need to be aware of what's going to happen. Vegas, for some reason, because there's going to be nerds out there, and I'm going to break it down to you this way: it is nerds are going to be out there and say, "Well, actually, he got a draw on his last fight. He didn't knock it. He didn't knock out Cody Brundage." You watch the fight, you know that Cody Brundage was lying on the fucking mat, and the ref is calling off the fight. So play your hand right here. Take Mansour to knock out Antonio Tricoli. Knock him out of the UFC into whatever strat. Dirty boxing would be great for this guy. I would love to see it because then he could probably lose some more. But Mansour, just play your cards right. Take the knockout. Maybe even take round 2 to start is a really good bet that I've seen with some really good odds sometimes. Antonio Tricoli, I mean, he got to round 3 with Shar. I mean, it was almost the bell. Like Shar, knocked him out. Like right before, it was like 10 seconds left in the fight or something like that. Mansour is pretty good. He's a little bit of he's a little slow burner. He puts it on you after a little bit. But Nick Klein was able to last a round or something like and actually put something on him that made him think twice. If Tricoli can land something, I don't doubt that he could, throw a decent strike, but I'm not going to put money that he's ever going to land anything on Mansour here. But if he's able to actually make him respect him in any way, potentially round 2 could start, and then we get a knockout coming soon. But as of right now, I mean, Mansour knockout is literally a given. I mean, there's death, taxes, Josh Van, Mansoor KO on Antonio Tricoli.
I mean, I would say that is pretty much accurate. What you're saying about round two starting is probably a really wise thing that we'll be looking at in hindsight. Like, yeah, that was a good call because what we saw with Mansoor Abdul Malik is the Cody Brundage fight. Now, granted, Cody Brundage is one of those wild card kind of guys that the fights can go in any 8 million different ways, and something weird is always going to happen. But that being said, he is a dude who has a little bit of toughness to him. Abdul Malik did not come in and just walk through him. He had to work a little bit more.
Yeah.
Tricoli, I mean, it's tough to say that he would be able to do that because he has been so very, very bad. I mean, like, this dude is kind of a slam dunk for anybody that they put in front of him. And I do think that this is one of those times where they're just trying to set him up to get him out of here. But that being said, I mean, Abdul Malik maybe takes a little bit of time to work his way into the fight a little bit, maybe after the Cody Brundage fight, wants to pace himself a little bit differently. I think that round two to start, still a little bit of a gamble, but the KO is not a gamble. Tricoli is a dude who should have been gone a while back. The fact that they even let him in after the PED pop is a little bit ridiculous, especially considering what we've seen out of him now. This is, of course, Mr. Mackenzie Dern. Go and be a stay-at-home husband, brother. Your girl's got the belt. You got the hottest girl in the game as your girl. You don't need to be doing this anymore, especially when you're this bad. You go take the loss and get the hell out of here.
I agree. I think you asked how is he in the UFC. I mean, mate, have you seen his wife? I mean, she's smoking. Anyway, so
must be doing something right.
Chad is really good right now. Chad is really good. So first they said my tough goat Robert Valentine might not be able to fight. Yes, we love Robert Valentine. Love that you made a good reference here. If you're ready for the UFC, and this is a good connection to this fight, and we'll talk about it. If you're ready for the UFC, you get directly signed on or go to Dana White Contender Series. You don't go to Tough anymore. Straight bars right there. That is fucking fire.
Yeah.
And then obviously CTE, commencing him as well. Isn't Tricoli the guy who fought against Sharp Bullet? Yes. And then we're still getting some more. Trayshawn Gore is the epitome of current state ultimate fighter quality, and that's the showbiz you are cooking right there. Yeah, he got subbed to Trayshawn Gore, who's not a great fighter. He had a lot of hype because he gets a lot of standing fucking guillotines, and then you're 6'5", and you get a standing guillotine from a guy who's 5'10". Epitome of just like terrible. But obviously on the other end of that spectrum, we're talking about tough guys. I mean, this guy lost to somebody who has been, had so much time off in Trayshawn Gore, and then comes back and he's still like this mythical, what can the tough fighters do? And then he gets butchered by a dude in fucking, what's his name? Eddie Guerrero, you know his name.
Oh gosh, yes. You put me on the spot. Yes, I know what you're talking about too, though.
He literally just got knocked out by Christian Leroy Duncan. So MMA math, I know people don't want to make it seem like it works, but Antonio Tricoli, I mean, the fact that he got a fight with Sharp Bullet, I'm pretty sure that was short notice. I'm pretty sure something like that. But yeah, he gets smoked by Mansoor. I just can't see it any other way.
He gets smoked by pretty much. Like, if you recall the Trayshawn Gore, he put himself into that guillotine. Like, that was like you said, the size difference was there. He had to actively enter that, and he did. He said, "Here's my neck, take it." And Trayshawn Gore said, "Okay, easy win." So,
dude, I mean, we gotta check if Cash Patel has been looking into this guy or something. Like, Jesus Christ.
Hey, you make a kind of a really more banger point than even potentially meant, because
Marco Tullio. Thank you, CTE.
Yes, thank you, CTE. Yes, Marco Tullio. That's who you were talking about. But look, a guy who pops. I mean, cheater in the blood already, in my opinion. There's certainly a little bit of smoke for there to be no fire whatsoever. And it's like, it's an easy thing now, and this is just a general note, this isn't just about Tricoli, but it's an easy thing to always be falling back on it. But that's what happens when this permeates the sport. When this cheating gets into the sport, now you can always have a little bit of something to have in the back of your mind. Oh, is that this? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so anytime that we bring that kind of thing up, it's like, yeah, most of the time it's memes, but is it always memes? You know what I mean? I think that there's there's a validity to it now that we have been proven multiple times that this is a problem in the sport.
Yeah, you got to hit him with the haha, I'm kidding, but am I?
Exactly. Yes, most definitely. So, anyway, all things considered, and hoping that that's not the case here, doesn't matter. Tricoli is a dude who is not of the caliber of the UFC. He has been proven to be that. It's only a matter of when this fight gets finished. Inside the distance is I mean, I would love to know the odds on that, because that's going to be like a minus 600, I would think. But if you're looking for a safe bet, you can pick any version of inside the distance, but inside the distance, I think, is the right call.
Before even all this came out, watching the Shara fight, I was convinced it was fixed. I just put two of Hydra's comments together there, and the last part is, or he's just CM Punk level. That's
I
just absolutely hilarious. Holy
To
shit!
that point, this guy should probably be fighting Mike Jackson. That would have been the better. That would have been the better matchup, and then maybe he could have taken the bolo punches.
Yeah, true. This is, oh my god, Tricoli is one of those dudes that you can't help. Like, he's easy to dislike, and there's people in this world that are like that, and I don't know what it is. Maybe people feel that way about me. I don't know, but Trincoli is just easy to dislike, and you need people like that in the sport, because that's who people will watch. I will watch Antonio Trincoli lose 7 days out of the week if it was possible. So
Sure. Yeah. No. And I can give you just a very quick reason for to not like Tricoli aside from his fight prowess. I talked about this on an old Yama episode. As we had said, this is Mackenzie Dern's significant other at the moment. He actually he got arrested not too long ago for going out and picking a fight with Mackenzie Dern's ex. So
I remember
like,
the story.
yeah, like, so, like, the guy, the ex was saying that, like, it was, I mean, two sides to every story. I don't want to like say that he's exactly right or whatever, but like the way that this guy made it sound, like they were just doing like a normal like child exchange kind of thing, and this dude just started like going after him or whatever, and it got heated. It's like, bro, the maybe the system of, or the cycle that you were on was not fully flushed, and a little bit of rage was popping through.
I remember that story came out because that's exactly why I used to call this dude, and I'm mad at myself for not continuing this trend because I forgot this dude is a total roid freak. I mean, he lashed out, had a whole episode on her ex boyfriend. Like, bro's just trying to pick up his daughter or something like that, and like he's coming over strangling him like Homer Simpson. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
and Hydra also making a good point. This is also the guy who called Bobby Green on the phone after Bobby Green made a comment about Mackenzie Dern on a weigh-in show. He had said something very, I mean, granted, we know what he was trying to say, but he said something about, her being thick or whatever. And this dude tried to like bait him into a fight. He was like texting Bobby Green saying, oh, this is Mackenzie Dern, whatever, trying to like, set up a meeting location so this guy could have a talk with him. Bro, you are dating a baddie. I'm sorry. These come with the territory, dude. You got to have a little bit of a thicker skin.
Yeah, I think CT's making a good point. Can't beat a trained fighter at his own weight class, so this is what he resorts to. Yeah.
For real, dude. So yeah, I mean, this guy is just, it kind of is one of those situations that makes you mad that he's with Mackenzie Dern. Like, I'm not, definitely wouldn't be like one of those simp fans where it's like, Mackenzie Dern needs to be single so that I can have a parasocial relationship. But it's like, you see a baddie like that and she's with a dunce like this. It's kind of one of those things that makes you kind of tilt your head a little bit. But either way, again, all of that's outside of the cage, and what's inside of the cage is ass. So take all of that and run with it.
CTE made this comment earlier, and I did not. I'm going to mention it now.
Yep.
Might as well give Tricoli to Gutierrez after this. Forget him if he doesn't get cut. So I think that's a great thing. After this, give him Gutierrez and then get him out of here. Sounds
I
good.
mean, this is going to be him getting out of here in this one, I would think. But yeah, if they, for whatever reason, they do keep him around one more time, yeah, set up Teba for one more easy slam dunk.
Didn't just call him, pretended to be his wife to set him up.
Yep, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's next level of of protectiveness in a way that's kind of sad. I mean, like, again, dude, you're the one that gets her. Like, why would you have to resort to that shit?
Yeah.
So anyway, whatever. You got anything else about the actual fight?
No, so Mansoor is going to walk out here and walk out with a spine in his hand like he's the fucking predator. Like,
use it like a cane, walk out with the skull like Papa Shango. There's a wrestling reference for you, Chase.
okay.
All right, moving on to the next one on the list.
Antonio Dern is not a fighter.
I tell you, he should be a stay-at-home dad, bro. Raise that kid. Raise that other guy's kid.
Okay, go ahead.
Anyway.
This is good.
All right. Next up is Ivo Baranchevsky versus Ivo Aslan. Baranchevsky is making his UFC debut after a win on the Contender Series. He is 6-0, 4 KO wins, 2 sub wins, currently on a 4 knockout streak. Ibo Aslan is 14-3, 2-2 in the UFC after a win on the Contender Series. KO wins over Anton Turkali and Rafael Sequeira. Sub loss to Iwan Kutelaba. Unanimous decision loss to Billy Elikana in one of the worst fights we have ever seen.
Yeah, this one is hilarious. This one's hilarious because Ibo, yes, has not been a good fighter in the last recent ones, but up until just a couple fights ago, he had 14 wins and 14 first round finishes. I mean, that apparently still seems to be true.
Well, that was going to be my point, is that the fall off for Ibo Aslan has been dramatic and swift. Like, I mean, this was a guy that into the Iwan Kutelaba fight, we were saying like this guy could be somebody. I mean, like the way he was going in, the early knockouts were legit. So it's an interesting dynamic there.
There's two things that I want to make a point. The first one has not necessarily much to do with this fight, but I just want to make the point because I think the UFC does this shit on purpose to fuck with us.
Mhm.
We have Iwo versus Ibo, okay, and then we have Jan, and we have Jan Yan, we have Jan Jan, we have Van. These are all similar. I swear they do this to us on purpose. They put them on the same card, so you're just like, whoa. Anyway, the second thing I want to point out. Let me know if this changes your opinion on who you're going to bet on, because it certainly did for me. On DraftKings, Ibo Aslan was a plus 154. I would place my life on that probably.
I mean, you know, look, it goes back to the age old. I mean, I feel like a broken record every time I say it, but it always is the case. We have not seen Ivo Baranchevsky in the organization yet. This is a entirely different caliber of fight than what we saw out of him on the Contender Series. He was another one of these guys that got an instant knockout, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he got like a 12-second. I was going to say this dude has not been outside of like 30 seconds in a fight. It's hard to put a lot of stock in him. The Showbiz made an interesting point because I do want to bring this up. Super disappointed in Aslan. I think he said Asian. Aslan after his fire debut. I think this is where we're overvaluing where Ibo stands in this promotion, because the dude that he had a fire, right, banger debut against, remember that, banger debut. It was a rematch against the Pleasure Man, who choked him out in the regionals, and in his debut put up the same fight and the ref stopped it early while Mr. Pleasure Man was scooting on his butt trying to get, he wasn't out, but I mean, he got knocked down, but we stopped it a little early. And then now we believe that since he had a close fight with the Pleasure Man and finished him in the second or third, it wasn't really that clean of a stoppage. And the Pleasure Man has like never won in the UFC, like overvaluing a lot here. I think that's just a point I'll make about Showbiz here.
Yeah. No. And look, this is, as far as I'm concerned, based on Ibo specifically, this is a what have you done for me lately situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that I have ever, I mean, we talked about Bo Nickel and Paul Craig being a kind of a goofy affair. This was two guys like, the beginning of a breakdancing competition where they're both just sort of like, breaking in front of each other kind of thing. This is what it looked like. These guys were pantomiming in front of each other, him and Elikana, for a lot of it. They're slapping, they're dapping each other up, having a grand old time. This was a ridiculously poor performance in his last fight. So, I mean, granted, there's nowhere to go but up, but Baranchevsky here is making his debut. He needs to make a name for himself in the organization. He's hungry, I would suspect. So what do you make of that?
I think Ibo, it was clear that he was gun shy, just like CTE was talking about with Elikana. But it's clear.
That's a very kind way to put it, though.
True, but it's a good reason why, because he knew if he overextended and got taken down, he was getting choked out. I mean, what Elikana was able to do with Gushkov in the first round, I know Gushkov got out of it, but Ibo was not. I mean, this dude got submitted by the Pleasure Man. I mean,
you don't mess with Son of Susie. That is true.
True. Oh my goodness. Wow, banger. Yeah. So I just don't believe in Aslan too much, but at plus money, for a guy that has 14, he's done what Iwo has done double. So it's hard for me. Everybody see, if we get two dudes that stand in front of each other for a decision, there's no reason to get mad. They're both just not coming back. Like, we know what the promotion is finally testing Evo. Like, yo, Go out here and bring the crowd back on your side. Get this first round finish. This is a dude that's never left the first round. If both of you end up going to decision in this fight because you're gun shy and you don't want to fight each other, just like he did with Elikana, nope. You don't even come back. Don't fucking come back. I swear we need to start kicking people out the door, like right out the door. Let the door slap them on the way out, type shit. Like,
Feel you. But I mean, so is that what you think is going to happen, though?
I think Ebo sleeps him. I think
Okay.
Ebo's got him. I do like Polish power. I do like Jan. We'll talk about it later. Ebo, 14 first round finishes, man. I mean, what can you say? I mean, the Turkish power is truly there.
Yeah, and look, I mean, I talked about the Elikana fight, but really, I think that if you're going off of like levels of things to consider when it comes to a fight like this that has those two dynamics of a guy who just came off of an insanely bad performance versus a guy who has never been tested in the organization, I think that the insanely bad performance plus having a knockout win on your record before that kind of trumps the debut. I mean, even you've seen some good things out of Evo, but it's not tested in the same way that Ebo has been. So I think that I kind of have to go with it, even though it pains me. And this could be one that Evo, like I said, comes in really hungry and is out to make a name for himself and just goes in and barnstorms him, or has a really grudge matchy, slugfest kind of long form fight, takes it into deep waters towards the end and gets the win. There's a couple of different ways that this could go down, but based on the little data that we have from one side versus mixed data from the other side, you go with the more. I think you go with the more data than the less.
I think another good point to make is, and yes, it is not a great look that you're going to war with the Pleasure Man necessarily, but he did continue. Like, it's not like he quit, so he got punched and he continued fighting. In the last fight, he didn't necessarily take the risk to get punched, but the fight continued. Do we know, is Evo gonna be able to get up from shots? Like, I mean, getting slept is one thing, and we know Ebo can do that. But if there's potential for a war and you don't go out, or is he going to be able to actually continue the fight and progress? Are we not going to get a first round finish, whether it's unconscious or not? I think these are things you have to question for somebody who's 6-0. He's never seen we talk about it. Everybody in their career of fighting, you have that moment where you go through. Rahiki on the Contender Series is a great example. Never been knocked down, never had to show that he had the ability to recover post knockdowns, and he did, and he ended up winning the fight, and that was the first experience that he ever had. Like, you could tell just right off that, from a good eye test, good estimation, he's probably going to be pretty decent. I mean, it wasn't the greatest performance. He was obviously in a war. I mean, it was 50-50 for a lot of it, split decision kind of deal, but he's going to probably be pretty damn good. So if Evo is able to actually, get knocked down and get back up, I know it's hard against Evo, but if it's possible, I want to see the potential that you're going to go for it. If not, just, I don't know. It's just another guy who gets first round finishes and then can't take the punch back.
Yeah, and to that exact point, Showbiz saying, could this be another Patchy Mix versus Vic Vosh
Oh,
situation? And that's the $1 million question. Does it end up like that? Does it end up being a complete smoke fest the other way? That's the reason that you got to go with the data that you have on Ebo Aslan. Like that you don't know is the answer to that. There's no way to know because Evo has not been tested the way that he is going to be tested in the UFC anywhere else. This is time and time again. We have seen this proven. Some people can rise to that occasion. Vic Vosh is a good example of one that was able to do that.
well, he was a previous champ, to make note. Like, he was like a
We've seen previous,
KSW champ.
but we've
This
seen
dude is
previous
6-0, has never done anything professional past 6-0 Contender Series.
right, and to that point though, so we've seen previous champs come in and get smoked. You know what I mean? So these are all tracking in the same direction. It's like you're exactly right. Like this guy not being a champ plays even more into the same point. So yeah, I mean, again, it just goes back to the data that we have at the moment. Could this all end up being a completely different conversation after Saturday? For Evo's sake, I hope so. But as of right now, you go with the more data, and I think that's just where I got to leave it.
Yeah, damn. Shout out Ebo though. Hopefully, the last Ottoman is going to get this one done, man.
I mean, come back and change the narrative here, brother, because I mean, I'm never going to get that Elikana fight completely out of my mind. You know, it's always going to be one that he gets a first round knockout here, and I'll still be in the back of my mind saying that's still the same guy that was out there playing patty cake with Billy Elikana, you know,
Yeah, playing grab ass, it's just crazy.
and dapping each other up and having a grand old time doing it. I think that really was what bothered me the most about it.
I think so too, but the narrative changed a bit. Elikana, the son of Susie is now in the good book. He's got a cool nickname now. Before it's like, yeah, that's a fucking stupid ass name when you go out there and you play and you perform like shit against Evo Aslan, but you come out here and you get a finish, son of Susie on top. Fuck that.
True. And that is what Ebo Aslan can do here. So go ahead
But you
and do
just told
that.
him that he has no opportunity to do that. You'll never forget that
No, well,
Elikana
I'm never going
performance.
to forget it, but you have the opportunity to change the narrative with every fight. So make me have to forget it. Give me
All
something
right.
to replace it with.
Ebo, I know you're out there listening because you tune in every Monday. Shout out to you. We're rooting for you, pal.
God, I hope so. Either that or Polish power. I mean, you know, my little Polish heritage is certainly calling for that. So if we get a nice win there, then Polska all the way. Exactly. It'll be resonating from within my pores.
Yeah, that'll be cool. I'll get the Polish flag out for this weekend too.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one here. This is a good fight. This is Edson Barbosa versus Jalen Turner making his return. Edson Barbosa is 24-13. Good Lord. 24-13, 2-3 in his last five. Decision win over Sadiq Youssef, KO win over Billy Quarantillo. Decision losses to Bryce Mitchell, Lerone Murphy, and Drakkar Close. Only has had 6 fights total outside of the UFC, all wins, has been in the organization since 2010. This man is the epitome of a veteran. On the other side, you got Jalen Turner, who is beginning stint number 2, as I mentioned. He is 14-9, 1-4 in his last 5. Split decision losses to Mateusz Gamrot and Dan Hooker. Knockout loss to Renato Moicano. Sub loss to Ignacio Bahamundes. He has a KO win over Bobby Green. Was on a 5-fight win streak before the Gamrot loss.
The only thing that I have to say about everything, it has nothing to do about the recent performances that either of them have had. It is all about Jalen Turner. This guy was retired just 6 months ago. He had made up his mind. I've done all this thinking. I got to take a step away. It's just not for me. I'm retiring. Now, for me, when I personally, when I see him come back, and we got all these scandals going on, I think he's in it for $70,000 right now. I think he's going to get finished by Edson Barbosa in this fight. I'm serious. So, prove me wrong. Get to the decision, because if not, I'm on your trail, kid. So
Detective Chase is on the case. Yeah, I don't know about that, but what I do know is that we talked about Jalen Turner when he announced that he was coming back. This was on one of the Friday shows a number of weeks ago, and I put a clip out of that, and I did that for a very specific reason, for exactly this moment when he would be making his return. And what I said in the clip is what I will say here. I'll reiterate the same point. Whenever somebody retires and then immediately comes back, I am very concerned about their mental state returning to the sport and thinking that whatever problems that led them to the retirement have been cleared up to the point that they're going to have a different outcome in the second go around. That's always what I look at when, a number of times this has happened. A number of fighters say they go on this little, retreat basically and come back. But Jalen Turner specifically had said that, he was going through some mental unsureness. He was having some kind of mental clarity issues there. Needed some time away from it to clear that up. Hopefully that's the case, but does that equal up to fixing all of the elements as far as the fighting goes that will get you to the victory? That is what I am never sold on when these guys come back. And we have seen several times where guys do come back thinking that all their problems have been solved, and we have similar outcomes to what they had before they left. So that is what worries me about Jalen Turner. Of course, Edson Barbosa is a man who is aging in reverse always. The guy looks better and better physique-wise every single fight over fight, which is crazy. Now, his fighting does not necessarily equal up to that all the time. But with that dynamic, I think that there's a lot of circumstances that are in play here. You decide how you want to pick and choose what you put into your picks.
Okay, aside from me being on my investigative tour, what I will say is I agree with some things the chat are going with. So, Turner has got this easy enough that I'm gonna be in my feels about it. Okay, I don't. Did I read that one wrong? Either way, we'll move on. But Barbosa's gonna get slimed out by Reach Merchant Jalen Turner. Really, really funny. Really, really funny.
Yeah.
Jab Merchant too. Jalen is so bad, but Barbosa is so old. That is just basically how this one goes. And then Showbiz actually coming in with a lot of fucking fire because I remember as soon as I looked at Jalen Turner, I looked right underneath his name and I said 14 and fucking 9. Holy shit! Good God, Turner's record is abysmal. He's so skillful in big lightweight while having negative fight IQ. Cook out your fucking dude. Eat your heart out, Jalen Turner. Like
I
Jesus Christ.
mean, it's well, okay. Let me at least offer a counterpoint to some of these opinions here because I'm hearing all of this negativity about
Yeah.
Turner. What I think Jalen Turner struggles with, or had been struggling with in a number of his fights, is that he is not a fast starter. He is a dude who, they talk about Piotr Jan downloading the information in round one. Turner is a guy who downloads the information throughout, I would say, the first half of the fight. That is a very ineffective fight style. Once he gets his rhythm down, he can start putting shots together, but he's also very plotting and really wants the exact shots that he's trying to set up. All of those things do not bode well when you have a more dynamic fighter against you. Now, we saw this very clearly in the Dan Hooker fight. Granted, he had his moments in that fight, but it's Dan Hooker. You're going to have your moments. Edson Barbosa, I think, is probably going to have a little bit more dynamics to him, which is not going to play well if Jalen Turner is not a changed man coming back from this stint away. And as I just said, I don't think that these stints away do all that much to rectify these problems that he may have been going through. I don't know if that's why he is a slow starter, if it was a mental tick or whatever. Like, I don't know what the dynamics are on his side that made him the way he was, but like all of these things I'm saying all equal up to a bad matchup here, I would say, even in Edson Barbosa's old age.
Here's what I would say. You're okay. Bad matchup for Jalen Turner is what you're saying.
Correct. But I mean, I'm trying to play a little bit of devil's advocate to say that he's not a bad fighter. He is just a fighter who wants the fight exactly pinpoint accurate to what he wants it to be. And you just can't have that in the UFC.
See, here's my thing, and this is where I think it comes down to the nitty gritty. This is my exact opinion on what's going to happen. I've seen Barbosa. I've seen Barbosa get touched plenty. I think Jalen Turner throws a good 1-2. I think at 39 years old, a good 1-2 from Jalen Turner is about all you're going to see, and Edson Barbosa probably folds like fucking Daniil Bariush. Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Benil.
Yes, but I think that's exactly what's going to happen here. I think my realistic take here, if I'm not assuming that he's being paid off, I'm going to say Barbosa gets folded here, and I like Edson Barbosa. I've always questioned like why he doesn't get as much love as he does. Like this dude is always fight ready. Like he's always fucking good to go, and I've seen him put on bangers. I mean, losing to Bryce Mitchell, I mean, you brought it up a little bit ago, but I've told this before. Has Bryce Mitchell ever convincingly won a fight? I mean, let's be real. I mean, these are all close decisions that he goes through. Barbosa, I'm sure, was probably no different. But either way,
Yeah, no, I think that Barbosa did kind of show his age in his last fight. The Drakkar close fight was a fight that I was picking out a lot of things where I was like, man, it doesn't look like the Edson of old is still in there. Again, I think that the linchpin of all of this is Jalen Turner and whether or not he is going to be of a mindset that is going to be go get this win. Now, you could say this time off has lit the fire. He needed that time off to rediscover himself, et
he
cetera, et
needs the
cetera.
money.
Yeah, I mean, there you go too. And Cash Patel, he's watching. So go out there and actually fight the fight. But either way, there's like all of the questions in my mind are on the Jalen Turner side because if he is not up to snuff, Barbosa still has the wherewithal to win a fight. I would say, even within the bad performance that he had with Drakkar, I think that that the ability is still there. So Turner needs to come in here and actually be quick to the draw. He needs to be a little bit more brawly than maybe he would be otherwise. Like actually go out and make it a fight instead of trying to be as technically proficient without actually having the output to back that up. Those are the keys to success. I'm not sold on Jalen Turner actually pulling that off though.
What I think I will say is interesting is that Barbosa, because the case that I'm making is Jalen should just walk in and start as 39-year-old man. The only person that I'm thinking about that is as tall as Jalen Turner, oh, well, obviously Jalen Turner's, if not the tallest, one of the tallest of the division, was Dan Hooker, and Edson Barbosa finished Dan Hooker with body shots. So I don't know if that's going to correlate to anything that's going to go on here. Whether the game plan is going to be similar, because Dan Hooker, very tall, slender opponent, similar to Jalen Turner. They match up well, I thought, in their fight. We, I actually thought Jalen Turner won against Dan Hooker in that fight too. I've stood my base on that one for a really long time. He broke that dude's face and arm. Like you can't tell me Dan Hooker won after that. I've seen this dude go through car wrecks and he ends up winning fights, but that's another story for another day. Jalen Turner should go out here and finish this old man because he's been finished before. There ain't nothing new. He's 39 years old. Listen, he's only. I know you want to say he's aging in reverse. It's just not. It's unfortunately not the scientific fact. He's going down. The chin is coming with him. I don't know.
I mean, I would be quick to try to counteract it if it wasn't for the Drakkar close fight. Like if had his performance been better in that, maybe I'd have a little bit more of a leg to stand on in trying to negate your opinion here. But again, like I keep stressing it, but it's just always what I come back to. Jalen Turner is too many question marks. There's too many what ifs going on with him, and a retirement and then an instant return to the sport really puts him in a bad light, in my opinion, as far as where his mental state is going to be and if he's going to be able to have his brain make his body do the things that he thinks that he's capable of. It's that type of thing. I think that there's a lot of like mental fog when it comes to Jalen Turner. He's been a dude who's struggled with it in the past. And again, these are not things I'm trying to make light of. These are very serious issues that I take seriously. But if we're talking about strictly who is going to win the fight, these are the things that I consider. And Turner just has a lot of what ifs that I'm going to need to see the new and improved version. If it was up to me and we weren't doing the show, I would probably wait until the walkouts to decide who I think is actually going to win this fight. See how he looks, see after the weigh-ins, like get the impression of what the man is like going through as far as like, how locked in he is and all of that before making a firm decision on it. Because what I do know from Barbosa, even in his old age, this is still a guy who can win fights. Can he do it consistently? Definitely not, but he can.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes. I hope Jalen Turner is ready to ball though, because you got to come out here after you said you were retiring and you're coming back. You better put on the performance, dude. Like you better come out here to fucking play.
Especially if you want to stay around. I mean, if this was the whole thing is like, oh, I needed some time off to get myself right and come back, this is the time that you have to prove it now. I mean, you were already in a pretty bad spot. It almost feels like he might have retired to get ahead of getting cut. It's like, okay, they gave you a second shot here now, man. I mean, like you need to come back an entirely different person.
Was asking Dustin recently came out. Somebody thing on this, they were sitting at like a bar asking Dustin Poirier, like, "Hey, when do you think are you going to do like boxing or what do you want to do?" And he was like, "Well, I'm retired, but I'm still technically under contract with the UFC for like 3 more fights or whatever like that. So, do you think this is potentially something in that case where Jalen Turner retired, but he still had fights left on his contract? So he just came. Let me go get him out the way. Let me go get him over with. Then I can officially be done."
I hope not, because that would play even way further into the things that I've been talking about. Like if it's just, oh, I got to fulfill my obligations, that don't sound good.
He's a fighter. He's
Yeah,
under
well,
contract.
I mean, no, my right, yes, that's all well and good that he does it, but my point is, if we're talking about trying to win the fight, like to just be like, oh man, I have to do this, so let me just go in there. Like that's not a mentality that you want to hear out of a fighter that you have money on.
Businessman, when your back's against the wall, the best things happen. Let's see Jalen Turner. Let's see what you got here, man. I'm ready to see.
Same. So you going with Jalen Turner then?
I'm gonna go with Jalen Turner by knockout.
Oh, all right. I'm going with Edson Barbosa by decision, personally.
Okay.
All right.
This one's gonna be good.
Yeah, rounding out the early prelims here is Marvin Vittori versus Bruno Fajeda. Vittori is 19-9-1, 1-4 in his last five. Unanimous decision win is over Roman Dolidze. His losses are to Robert Whitaker, Jared Cannonier, Roman Dolidze, and Brendan Allen, all of those by unanimous decision. Bruno Fajeda is 14-2, 4-1 in his last five. Knockout wins over Phil Hawes and Dustin Stoltzfus. Sub wins over Armin Petrosian and Jackson McVeigh. A sub loss to Abus Magomedov.
Okay, where do I want to start with this? The chat. I want to let you get it out quick. I'm gonna tell you right off the bat. I'm taking Marvin Vittori.
Why?
Chat, get it out.
Why would you do that?
All right, I'm ready. I'm ready. Listen, and here goes CT. The Hulk's finally going to be ranked. This is a guy who was losing to Dustin Stoltzfus, by the way. And Dustin is fine. He's game. I really like that guy, but he's nobody. Now I understand. He's not anybody that you should be, ranting and raving about, nor losing to if you are a top contender in this sport. Marvin Vittori, nobody that you can name in his last however many opponents are outside of the rankings. This dude he lives in the UFC rankings right now, and he faces good competition. Brendan Allen, good. Roman Dolidze, good. Israel Adesanya, Hall of Famer. These are people he's losing to. Yes, but Bruno is not somebody who has a gas tank to make it through late fights. Marvin Vittori won, chinned. He has a chin. He is not going down. If he does, hats off to Bruno. He's done something that nobody has ever done it. I'm going with the 99-1 ratio here. The dude's not going to get chinned. He's going to continue walking forward. I think people don't understand, like Vittori, he's not necessarily scary when it comes to return fire. But if you throw everything you have at somebody and they continue to walk forward, it's going to demoralize you in some regard. If you are gassing out, you are the smaller fighter, you don't necessarily have the technical ability to keep yourself in the fight late because you rely on winging these wild shots that you believe are going to knock your opponent out. Now, he does have the BJJ now, but he's not getting Vittori down, and Vittori's not getting subbed either. Like, this dude is made for decisions, and he's going against somebody who's made for finishing. Vittori's not getting finished. 19-9 is not a bad record, but if you look at the people he's going against, losing to them it's not that bad. They're good fighters. My
I
opinion.
mean, look, you kind of touched on it, but I was going to say before you said it, you must have missed the part about the sub wins over Petrosian and McVeigh. Now, granted, those are not exactly high level fighters that he got those sub wins over, but to think that Bruno Fajeda is not going to be able to get Marvin Vittori down is, I think, your critical flaw in your argument here, brother. Like, yeah, we all know water is wet. Marvin Vittori has the best chin in the world. We all know this. The chat saying Hall of Fame chin. But I think CTE making a very good point here. No submission threat, no punching power. I mean, he does have, he has a little bit of power, but not enough to actually do anything with it. He has enough to stay through a fight with it. No grappling IQ, absolutely no fight IQ. Debatable, but probably likely. So my point with all of that is that Fajeda, like all of us, like every human being on the planet, brother, the internet down there in Brazil is pretty good at this point, regardless of what Uncle Chael says. So I guarantee you that this guy has the tape. He knows Vittori is a dude who he cannot knock out. So this guy is going to be around his waist for 3 rounds. He is going to be keeping his gas tank in check by being, a hugger here. I think that this is going to be a lot of stalling, a lot of clinching, probably some decent work in those positions, but he's not going to want to stand there having to punch this guy a million times to no end. He's going to go the path of least resistance, and Bruno Fajeda is going to get this win very easily, considering that all he's going to do is pick at this guy's ankles.
No, I don't think Vittori's getting taken down. He's too. No, he's too physically imposing for Bruno to just walk through his punches and just take him down. Like, dude, come on. He's a striker who has BJJ now, who apparently has BJJ now. And again, the people that he submitted are fucking losers. Like, straight up, Vittori is a loser, but he's game, and he's gonna go in there and walk forward. Bruno, it's crazy to me. I think about this. Like, Marvin Vittori is only 32. Like, I know he just came off a big injury, but like, we got a lot more time for you guys to start hating. But like, you could jump on board right now, and when he starts racking up decision wins, because the promotion knows that they have to give him people that are gonna lose, we might can come around to a good conclusion. But I think Vittori's a good underdog pick here. Sincerely, I do.
Yeah, I mean, look, he is a guy who can navigate a fight. I mean, we've seen him get ridiculously mauled in fights and make his way through to the bell. I mean, this is, not a dude who you put him down in any capacity. Now, I mean, even in a cardio capacity, he'll gas for sure, but he'll still be able to make it enough of a competition through the end that it's not like he's sitting there with his hands down just taking punches left and right, even if his chin can take them. So I do acknowledge that, but I'm telling you that I think that because he has no ground game, there is a solid path to victory. As I always say when I'm evaluating fights, what is the path to victory? Fajeda actually has one here, and all it takes is it's a two pronged thing. It's a dual pronged system here because on the one hand he's going to be able to control, and on the other hand he keeps his own gas tank, so he's not having to expend all this ridiculous energy to no end. To no no return of any kind. We all know that Vittori can take 1,000 punches and not go down. So don't do it. Don't go down that road. I think that Bruno Fajeda, now that he has his little BJJ abilities here, these newfound abilities, whatever, you can call it how you want to call it, and it is kind of crazy if he's more of a power striker to just all of a sudden be a grappler, but I don't care. I think that having it in the back pocket is definitely going to be moving it from the back pocket to the front pocket after a couple of shots don't do anything. This guy, Bruno Fajeda, I'm going with it.
No, this is genuine delusion from you, and I'm going to tell you why. And Showbiz is making a good point. He's cooperating. Hall of Fame Gasser and Bruno. It's not even. It's hard to debate somebody who genuinely what they do best can't even get them to the belt. Like that. That is a concern. I would say you're a striker who can't get to the belt, but it is genuinely impressive that this guy can pull off two, and I mean two grappling sequences because he got two submissions in the two grappling sequences that you've seen from him, and now all of a sudden you think he can wrestle for 3 rounds against Vittori
That's the
when
whole
he couldn't
thing, though.
even stand and strike for two. I don't.
But that's it gives him the ability to keep his cardio, is what I'm trying to say. I mean, this is the deal. Is the it like, God, okay, and I see it, I see that I'm getting dunked on
No, I
this
think
one.
it's I think it's me getting dunked on here.
But I don't know. I mean, look, I think that I'm telling you, I think that if we think about what you know about Marvin Vittori, you know these things, we know these things, he knows these things. That's my point here. Is that like what I was saying? Clear path to victory. It does two things. It allows him to control and not gas himself out. If he's a Hall of Fame gasser, laying on top of the other guy is a good way to retain your tank.
I just look back to the fight with Dustin Stoltzfus. He threw everything he had at him in the first round. Dustin Stoltzfus continued walking forward. Bruno Fajeda said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna throw a spinning elbow," and it worked. It's just not going to work every time. You were gassing out, and you were going to lose those next 2 rounds. And I've stuck on to that. And the next fights, he comes out here and he has he has some BJJ. That's fine, but mate, you're still gassing. You're not fixing the issues. Performances where I can see elevation and progression. It's like, okay, you gassed out. Now, Ebo Aslan, another example, just never fucking got over the gasses out every fucking fight problem in his game. Like that happens with some fighters. What's his name? Fucking Kyler Phillips or whatever. That dude gasses every fucking time. He just does nothing for the last 2 or 3 rounds. Giga Chikadze is probably going to come out here and do the exact same thing. He'll have one good round where you're like, holy shit, there's that left leg from Giga, and then he does nothing for the next 2 rounds. Like, Bruno is just not the guy that I would say I would take over 3 rounds in a fight. If it was somebody who potentially could get knocked down in the first or second round, I would take Bruno. 100%. Maybe even sub him, sure. But Vittori he's not going to get finished. He never has been. And he's only 32 years old. It's not like he's 39, like, some other people who have never been finished, whatever you want to say. I know there's not necessarily a 39-year-old who hasn't been finished that we're talking about, but older people, Bracatona, older people, they get finished easier. Vittori's not old. He has not shown to be slowing down in the chin department, and he's a very consistent game that can get you decisions. Bruno, does he have decision wins? I don't know. Like I know he just finishes people, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean it is true. All of his previous 4 wins have all been of the finishing variety. So you are kind of tracking with all of that. Uh yeah, I mean, maybe you're swaying me a little bit on the argument, but I do think that there is a clear path to victory, is what I'm trying to say here. I'm not saying that he finishes Marvin, but I'm saying that Marvin is another guy who can also gas out as well. Like if especially if he's not getting punched in the face, if he's being held down, I feel like there's a
These
potential
are
there.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
No, I was
interrupt.
just saying that I think that there's a potential there for there to be ground strikes. I think there's a potential there for it to be a struggle on the ground. Go Brendan Allen style a little bit over here. Go fluffy on him a little bit. Try to wear him down with your ground game or with the wrestling even. When you're in those positions on the cage and you're on his back, you're putting all the body weight on him. I see a method here is what I'm trying to say. So I think that also being let down by Marvin Vettori plays a good part in this as well. How many times do you ride with Marvin Vettori to win a fight and he doesn't do that? Granted, Bruno Fajeda is not of the caliber of the other guys you were mentioning before, but I'm just saying, like, 9 times you've seen this guy lose in fights. Granted, they have been high level fighters. Eventually, it's like you start changing your perception.
Here's what it is. Okay, so Vittori, CTESPN here with the comment. Vittori hasn't actually progressed in what, 5 fights? I'm here for innovation. That's the Hulk. See, this is where the misconception is. Vittori may or may not progress because he's at his form. This is what Vittori's going to be, but he's going to get you a decision against the best of the division right now. He will get you a decision loss against the best of the division right now. Bruno, on the other hand, you want to talk about innovation. I think, again, we're overvaluing what getting 2 submission wins against 2 bums can be because he's not going to do that against Vittori. And then I don't know. I think the old dog can learn a little new tricks, but for him to come in here every fight and he has this new game plan and he's not going to learn, he's not going to use his striking now, he's going to wrestle, doesn't add up to me. Vittori, though, I know what he's going to do. He's going to walk in there with his hands up, get punched in the face, and throw his hands back. And this is a person, if it was anybody else that could win by decision, like Brendan Allen, I told you, with the confidence that Brendan Allen could have in his hands, he could win this fight very easily by decision. What did we get? To Brendan Allen decision. I felt like a god at that moment. And it's not because I hated Vittori and I just did not see the realistic outcome for him. Right now, I see him walking forward, gaining some cage control time that is going to give the judges nod. I mean, dude, like we've talked about with his record, he's won in whatever in his last something. It's got to give. He's not even a bad fighter. I mean, he loses, but again, it's to the best of the division. Is Bruno as good as Jared Cannonier, Sean Strickland, Brendan Allen, Israel Adesanya? You name these people. If you put Bruno up there, that's you. I will save that for when he actually, if he finishes Vittori, okay, now we're talking. He can be up there with the people who didn't even come close to it when it talks about those people. But if Bruno ends up just gassing out after 1 round and he skates by with a split decision or something, I mean, sure, but
Well, that's the thing, though, is that it doesn't matter. I mean, like, that's a different conversation. Is where you want to rank him. I'm saying that there is a clear path to victory for him if he plays his cards right. There,
you're gonna upset me. How is it a clear cut way for Bruno to win, and you're telling me it's wrestling against Vittori when he's a striker who can't fight for 3 like, how is him wrestling? He has not been wrestling his entire life. He's been striking. He's now 33 years old. He's gonna just magically pull 3 round wrestle fuck out of his ass. Like, I'm just
new
that
mythical
really.
fighter unlocked, brother.
All right.
Well, we shall see. All I know is that you are correct. I don't think that he's going to finish Vittori, but if you want the galaxy brain play here from St. James, it's Bruno Fajeda by decision.
I like this one, and I'm setting Marvin Vittori up for a good win here because I think it's going to happen. And I'm not saying CTESPN. I actually haven't even talked about a specific skill set that Marvin Vittori has. It's just the attributes that come to his game: chin, cardio, and the fact that he goes to the decision. It's those things right there. Those are the only things you need to know about how he could just plod his way through here, and just and Bruno eventually is just not able to return any sort of volume that matters on the judges. It's going to be late round 2. Vittori steals the round. Round 3, Bruno doesn't have his hands up. He's just getting walked down. Dude, the way that he looked against Dustin Stolzfus, you should just go rewatch that second round of the fight. I mean, He all he had was that spinning elbow. That's it. That was the last thing that he could give. If he didn't land that, he was cooked. He was so cooked. But I digress. I think Vittori decision is what it's going to be. It's 3 rounds. Like, oh, that's another good point. You talk about what Vittori and his gas tank, bro. He goes 5 rounds. He made gas in five. Sure, that happens. With Brendan Allen, they just went 3 rounds slugging. He looked a little tired, but mate, he's been 5 rounds before. We know he can go three. It's 3 rounds against a dude who's going to gas, in my opinion,
Yeah.
against a
Well,
guy who gasses in 5 rounds, and that is, I don't know. I
no,
don't know.
yeah, I mean that does track. I will definitely give you that. That yeah, Fajeda not having the 5 round experience and having a gas tank issue does not play well into the factors here. But I mean, again, I've just been let down by Vettori so many times that putting any kind of backing on this absolute meathead of a fighter, really, going back to CTE's earlier comment about the fight IQ, that's another thing that I think just plays into the Vettori problem. It's like, yes, what we have seen out of him is he is the toughest punching bag in this sport, hands down. Give you that 100%. But that lends himself to also being somewhat of a blank canvas. And if Fajeda has any creativity in him at all, then there's a chance there. There's more of a chance than not, and that I think is why I'm still leaning on this way, even with all of the things that you're saying that do track.
Creativeness, right? That's the word that you wanted to use.
Brother pulled out some subs that you didn't even see coming.
Creativeness, but this guy Vittori fought Israel Adesanya, and we're talking about creativeness.
How'd that fight go?
I mean, he lost, but that's the most creative striker ever. If you like, as of right now, Vittori has faced that guy and went 5 rounds with him. That's experience, if anything. If you think Bruno Fajeda is going to pull out anything that Israel Adesanya didn't over the 5 rounds, I mean that's creativeness to me. I just one spinning elbow from Bruno Fajeda on Dustin Stoltzfus is not making me believe that he's a creative enough fighter that Vittori is just going
Well,
to
all
fall
right, then
to.
then on the other side, though, what we saw from Vittori, talking about guys who left the sport for a while, we were just talking about Jalen Turner with that. We saw Vittori take some time away from the sport, saying that he needed to clear his head, go down
I
to
think he
Miami
was
and have.
injured though.
Oh, okay, fine. So he was injured. Fine. Fair, whatever the
Okay.
reasoning is, injured. But he also had said that he was like taking some time off as well. I think that they might have been going hand in hand with that because he made the comment about being down in Miami with the big booty Latinas and all of that. All good. Memer, fine. I'm good with all of that. But what we saw when he came back, the exact same guy. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I think that might have been everybody's fault for expecting something different, and maybe we're go back to the Jalen Turner thing. Vittori, if you thought that he was going to take some time off and go see the Lord and come back a better fighter, maybe that's on you guys. I don't know. What I see is what I get from Vittori at this point. CT. We got to go with this, dude. Losing to Roman Dolizde is not even that bad. That is a contender in the fucking division. He was one fight away from getting a title shot. Like, I mean, let's fucking chill it here. So Roman Dolizde is actually a pretty good contender, and Marvin Vettori losing to him, he loses to all the better people in the division. And Roman Dolizde, going along with my narrative, I would agree is one of the better people in the division. You know, I'd have to look at the fucking rankings, but Brendan Allen, good. Sean Strickland, we know is good. He's at the top of the ranks for a reason. Losing to some of these people, Israel Adesanya, Hall of Famer, Robert Whitaker, Jared Cannonier, all of these people, these are not just nobodies. Name the last time it was a nobody that Marvin Vettori fought, because Bruno Fajeda is the closest to a nobody that Marvin Vettori has been fighting, and I don't think that Vettori is just. I don't know, for his name's sake, he just can't fucking lose this. He's building a really good resume here. To lose to Bruno Fajeda is like a serious decline on the resume there, I would say.
I mean, that's what I think is where we're kind of getting to, and I'm seeing. Shout out to Ground Steady, who's been, on your team with this one. But yeah, the Cannoneer loss, not bad, brother. That was one of the worst ass whippings that I have ever seen. That was the one that really showed
No,
you
no, no.
that, like, oh, that not bad as in he was a good fighter. Yes, of course.
Yes,
Yeah, you're not.
Jared is a
No,
great
you're.
fighter.
But yeah, fair enough. Okay, fine. If that's these are all correct points, but I'm telling you, the new blood needs to be infused into this division anyway. So if it's going to be anybody, let Bruno Fajeda be the guy.
Yeah. So yeah, see Showbiz, Delize is legit top 15 middleweight. He literally, we're not even in the Roman. Listen, Roman Dolidze needs respect, and you guys better give it. There's no cope saying he was one shot away from the title fight. He literally was. He took a short notice bout. He was taking fights. He was active. He was ready to go, and then he got shot back down. Whatever you want to say. Roman Dolidze is decent. He's a decent contender. Marvin Vettori losing to him is not too bad in my opinion, but he loses to all the people that are good to great. Bruno Fajeda is the average to good area for me. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, I agree with that as well. I just think that this could be the chance for Fajeda to maybe break that perception.
CTE makes a good point. Everybody loses to a nobody. It is the cycle. True. I
So,
fair.
all right. Well, we've talked it through. So, chat's obviously got a lot of opinions about this fight. Tune in for the watch alongs. We, of course, will be doing our individual watch alongs. You can watch these fights along with us and find out who amongst us is correct. I'm sticking with the Bruno Fajeda pick.
Yeah.
All right.
Vittoria it is for me.
There you go. All right. Let's move on to the next fight here. Got a good active chat. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you guys. The next one up is Nazim Sadikov versus Fares Zayem. This is actually one of my favorite fights on this card. This is a good one here. So Sadikov is 11-1-1. He is 4-0-1 in his last 5. He had a TKO doctor stoppage wins, 2 of them, wins over Evan Elder and Ismail Bonfim, submission win over Terrence McKinney, a knockout win over Nicholas Mata. He went to a draw with Vyacheslav Borshov. Fares Zayem is 17-4, 5-0 in his last 5. Unanimous decision wins over Mikhail Figlak, Jai Herbert, Mike Davis. He had a split decision win over Claudio Puelles and a knockout win over Matt Frivola. That was that knee from hell.
Okay. Here's the problem. Because when you were talking about Sadikov and what you were reminding me about his record, the thing that stuck out instantly was the draw to Borshov. We always talk
Does
about
not
some of
age
these
well, yeah.
we talk about some fights that just don't age well. This is a guy who gets finished almost all the time and loses unanimous decision every other time. You get a draw against him. Not a great look, considering we talk about overvaluing people. I mean, if you go to a draw with Borshov, I mean that should tell you all you need. You didn't convincingly do anything better than him, and he's not very good. But when you go to the opposite end of the equation, Fares Zaim has a split decision win over Claudio's Puglia. No fucking way, bro. That dude is horrible. That dude is no, 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 no. It's not even that he's like bad. It's like he's awful. Like genuinely bad because Dan Hooker finished him, and like Dan Hooker, I know he's good. He's a top contender, but like to get finished by that guy like on the feet just from like body shots. It's not even like he just like finished him. It's like he stopped getting up because his tummy hurt too much. It's like, and he kept pulling guard. It's one of the worst performances I've seen from somebody. So hopefully he was better against Saeem because if not, split decision win against him is not better. It's not much better than getting a draw against Borshov. I mean, you could argue neither of them did anything in the draw, but if you closely beat Claudio's Pulios, holy fucking god, brother, that's not good at all.
Well, I mean, it's that one. That's definitely a one that sticks out. But really, I mean, I think that the Mike Davis fight kind of speaks pretty highly as to why I'd be kind of going on the Sadikov side myself. Because if you remember the Davis fight, I mean, Davis, that was the whole paint fumes
I was
incident.
gonna say, don't you better bring it up.
But I mean, put the paint fumes out of the equation. I mean, what we saw though was a pretty decent 2-way fight for a lot of it. I mean, granted, Perez did win the fight in the big picture of everything, but I mean, Davis is a dude who I've always thought was like right at that point. So it was like, yeah, Perez should beat this guy here to be above that, but it was a little bit too close for comfort if you're thinking that Fares Zayem is next up. Sadikov, every time that I've seen this guy, I've always said I think that he's one of these like sleeper like banger fighters that like is just under the radar for a lot of people, but like really shows out in a lot of his performances. And we've been seeing pretty good consistency out of him. Fares Zayem, I think it's a little bit early still. I think that he has a great future ahead of him, though. I definitely think that, like, he's still on the come up, even if he loses this fight. But, like, all of those things being equal as I just laid them out, Sadikov is the dude who's speaking to me on this one.
I also would like to go with Salikov, but Saeem, he's been shown. I mean, The ability to not have his leg snapped against Mike Davis was impressive. The ability to continue fighting after his tendons were clearly ripped from oblivion in that calf slicer position for majority of that round. It does show me that he's got some grit and some heart. So it is hard for me to go against somebody that I genuinely know. You know, when we talked about a lot of things when they come to this, but like you're in the sport to and you put yourself through this. You shouldn't be tapping early to these. Zaim is one of these dudes that I respect for not tapping until his fucking leg was gonna break. I'm like, hats off to you. You're in the cage for a fucking reason. You wanted to be there. You're proving it to me why you need to be because you are clearly deranged. But when I know a guy will do that, it's hard for me to go against him. Salikov he's slick though, man. This dude's got striking for days, and it's kind of an interesting. He's got the timing of his strikes is what it is. He's very good at setting a different set of pace. So he's very slick with his striking, but his jab and his 1-2 doesn't come right after his. It'll jab and then it's a split second long. There's a lot of just small details that I think Salikov has on the feet that obviously Zaim is going to have to, the chat's talking about his Dutch kickboxing. We got knees and stuff coming from him. Yeah, I think it's going to be tough for him to get that off against Salikov because this dude's a very good range striker and he seems to have power with it. So it's going to be tough, but I'm going to take Salikov.
Yeah, and to that point, I think that when it comes to the ranged attacks, that actually plays into Salikov's into his like skill set a little bit better because what you're talking about with the timing and the technique, that those really are like his greatest weapons, I would say, and like being able to anticipate when the longer fighter is going to be throwing long ranged attacks, that gives you a lot more time to work with the time that it takes to actually get those attacks off. You know, if this guy's going to be out here trying to throw like high kicks, you get under those nice and easy, especially if when you're as locked in. Like Salikov is a guy that I think gets into the flow state pretty quickly. So like if you're there and anticipating what's coming at you, and it takes the guy longer to throw the attacks because he has the longer limbs, you keep that longer distance. You close the distance easier, get around shots easier, get under shots easier. I mean, there's a whole lot of ways that you can evade the attacks to get your own attacks off, and he can be a counter king right now.
I think chat's making a good point. Salikov survived 75 strike combo flurry from Motto. He's also got heart.
That was a great fight, if you recall.
It was a very good fight. Fair. Okay. But I don't know, bro. When I saw Zaim's leg, I mean, I'm watching this the entire time thinking, holy shit. At any moment, you're just gonna see just an explosion happen in his fucking knee. And it never happened. And I'm props to him for knowing the limitations to his body. I mean, in his mind, obviously it's gonna have to break before I stop. And it didn't actually get to that point. So shout out to him, mind and body. I mean, this is a guy I'm kind of with it. This is my free spirit kind of guy right here. I like it.
Yeah, for sure. Frez I am is probably my favorite French fighter currently. I would say. I mean, like he's doing a lot of good things and he's doing a lot of things correctly. I just think that Sadikov is just a little bit higher of a test than he's currently capable of, like right now. Like if he had like maybe like two more really solid wins under his belt, like hard fought battle kind of fights, where he really had to like overcome what you're talking about, like consistently. And he's just doing that and doing that. Be like, all right, maybe this guy is a little bit more of a force to be reckoned with, but I think he still has a couple of more like notches that he needs to get in the belt before he's like at that point. And Sadikov is just a dude who's already there. So it's like, you're kind of meeting a dude, like it's poor timing for him, I would say right now,
Yeah,
but good matchmaking.
100%. No, I like this fight a lot for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I do too. So who are you going with in the end?
I'm gonna take, just because Cyril Gane is my favorite fighter now, I'm taking Fares Zaim as, I'm going French all the way now, guys.
Viva France. Go check out our review of KO, by the way.
Hell yeah.
And the cage.
And the
Yeah,
cage.
we definitely have some love for France around here. No, good call. I mean, look, if again, this is another one of those times where it's like I do like Fares Zayam a lot, and I think that he's got a lot of great attributes. I just think Sadikov is too locked in. I got to go with Nazim Sadikov.
I like it.
All right. Next up is Macy Barber versus Karini Silva. Barber is 14-2. She is 5-0 in her last five. Unanimous decision wins over Montana De La Rosa. Jessica I and Caitlin Seminara. Split decision win over Andrea Lee and a knockout win over Amanda Hebos. Karini Silva is 19-5, 4-1 in her last five. Unanimous decision wins over Diane Barbosa and Ariane De Silva. Sub wins over Ketlin Sosa and Marina Moros. Unanimous decision loss to Viviane Araujo.
This fight stinks because we were supposed to get Aaron and Macy just a couple months ago.
I mean, you
And
couldn't talk about this one without talking about that. Macy pulling out of that main event, of course.
so the fact that this is the fight that we now get instead, Aaron, gets the Tracy Cortez matchup, but she gets a submission win. Macy Barber, I mean, rightfully, she's the one who kind of fucked up the main event kind of deal. I mean, from circumstances, obviously, it wasn't necessarily anything that she could have predicted, prevented is the better way to say, I guess. But this fight sucks. She's gonna win. I mean, this is Macy Barber's. Go ahead and read the names of the people that she beat again. By the way, Macy Barber, please.
Macy Barber has unanimous decision wins over Montana De La Rosa, former Ultimate Fighter. Jessica I, it's a while back. Caitlin Seminara, aka
Like who? Like, do you hear these names, chat? Like, oh god. But I still think she's
Caitlin
gonna win.
Chikagian. I might remember that.
No,
And then, split decision win over Andrea Lee, kind of ages decently. And then the knockout of Amanda Hebos, I think, is the one that a lot of people would hang their hat on.
yeah. Vivian Araujo beat Karini Silva. Like, I mean, I don't know if you can really, dude. This is a bad fight. Like, it hurts my eyes to even look at it right now. Like, Jesus Christ, it's not even that they're both individually bad. Karini Silva, I know less of, but this is just a fight that I could care less about. Like, what this means after. It's like if Macy wins, okay, we need to see her back where she should have been fucking 3 months ago or whatever. If she loses, it's like, all right, well, she fucking sucked. Okay, she was gonna lose to Aaron anyways. Like, who cares? Like, I don't know. Like, this
Right.
is just a hard one.
Yeah. And shout out to TJF in the chat. Hold your tongue about Aaron
She
Blanchfield,
is.
my friend.
I like it. I see the vision. Egypt.
Okay.
TJF. Excuse me. Yeah, no, Aaron Blanchfield, kind of bad. Yeah, no, she's good.
Oh, okay. I thought he was saying about her skill set. No, I now I get you.
No,
Yes.
she's fine.
Yeah, fair. I mean, that's what you're saying about this fight hurting your eyes. Well, Macy Barber never does that. But I mean, either way, though, I think that you're really pretty on point with all of this. Macy Barber, she's definitely on the shit list right now as far as that whole situation went down. Will she make weight this time? Are we going to have more problems with weight? Is she going to show up to this fight? She's a little bit of a wild card in a bad way on that one. If she shows up, she makes weight and everything goes fine. She wins this fight. And then exactly as you said, she's right back to where she should have already been, which sucks. So, I mean, this is just kind of a dumb situation in general. Macy in the same camp as Armin in the sense of just pulling out of fights so that you can get easier fights and then get yourself back to where you should have been in the first place.
I would not go that far. I have a little more humility for Macy because, I mean, it sounded like she was having some serious issues back there. I mean, it's not like she just didn't want to fight or she just didn't make the walk. I mean, they said she was having a seizure or something like that. Like,
Sure. And yes, there were medical extenuating circumstances and all of that. And apparently Macy Barber does have a history of that. So, I mean, you can factor that in all you want. Okay, whether that is the case or not, that still bodes poorly for all of that. I mean, if she has those kinds of issues, then shouldn't there be further concern about her period?
well, I mean, you were even making the argument with Armin. I mean, it is the same thing. I mean, whether Armin was telling the truth or whether his back hurt or whether it didn't, it doesn't matter. The same outcome happened. He
Right.
gets screwed over in the end for fucking with the promotion. Macy, just don't be thinking you're getting a fucking title shot here soon, girl. You're gonna have to wait a while. Like, you are, talk about back of the line. I mean, you're gonna have to see multiple contenders get their opportunities before you. So
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, so then no real any kind of support whatsoever for Karini Silva on this one?
what was your question? I was reading chat. Sorry.
No support at all for Karini Silva.
No, who cares? Like, she's like, bro, there's like 7 other women Silva names. We could Irene De Silva, like, Get him out of here.
All right, fair enough then. I mean, I guess that's
Natalia Silva, like there's another one. Just like
yeah.
get sweep her under the rug. No, Rolly Shuaba, she didn't have a seizure. There are some leaks that she just had a panic attack and refused to fight Aaron. All right, what do you think about
Ah,
that?
I mean, the leaks, the leaks, the leaks. You know, who's the source? You know, cite your sources, I guess, kind of thing. But could it be true? Sure. I mean, again, that's what I was kind of getting at, where it's like, no matter what the reality of the situation is, the fact that it happened, lends itself to these kind of questions, and B is a cause for concern. Again, whether it's those type of things where it's jitters or whatever it is, panic attacks, or a legitimate medical issue, neither of them are good. So
Mhm.
I think that the only real concern is if she comes in and makes weight and gets herself to the cage, based on what we have seen. If she does that, then she should be fine. But going forward, these are still problems that you should always have in your mind about her.
Yeah, 100%.
So get to the cage, Macy Barber.
And I'm taking her if she makes
Yeah,
it there.
same. Unfortunately, I hate to put support behind somebody with that set of circumstances, but in this fight, I think it's the only thing to do.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, next up, this is an interesting one. This is Terrence McKinney versus Chris Duncan, Scottish Chris Duncan, that is. Terrence McKinney is 17-7, 4-1 in his last 5. Knockout wins over Mike Breeden, Brendan Murat, and Damir Hadzovic. Excuse me.
Jesus fucking
Uh,
Christ.
the bomber there, yes. Submission win over Vyacheslav Borshov. His knockout loss was to Esteban Ribovics. Chris Duncan is 14-2, 4-1 in his last 5. Unanimous decision wins over Yanalash Muz and Mateusz Rombecki. Submission wins over Balaji Oki and Jordan Vucenic. Submission loss to Manuel Torres.
This one, actually, that is a crazy thing to note. A striker in the fight that we're going to talk about here in a few, Manuel Torres, submitted one of the guys that is a lethal grappler in Chris Duncan. Got his back, choked him out. Insanity. I don't know how that actually happened. I wasn't there for that, but that is a true fact. Terrence McKinney, some statistic that had went around. I don't know if it's still accurate. It might be a little more inflated now. He had in 23 of his 25 fights, he had not seen the judges, something like that.
Oh yeah, I mean Terrence McKinney is a killer be killed fighter to the
Yeah.
nth degree.
So I'm going to go ahead and say, obviously, this fight is going to finish because Chris Duncan is also your relative killer be killed kind of guy. But these guys should go out here and throw hands, and I don't think it gets to the mat necessarily. I think if it does, then Chris Duncan is going to be able to get the submission, but I don't think it's going to get there. I think we're going to get two dudes who stand right in the middle and brawl really quick, and I'm going to take Chris Duncan to have some heavy hands. I think Terrence McKinney has been chinned before. Chris Duncan, we're still at the beginning of his career. I would like to believe that we're going to see a good little resume being built here. He's got 2 or 3 Gilly wins or whatever it is, and then if he comes out here and he's got a knockout win against Clayton, not Clayton Campbell, yeah, Clayton
Carpenter.
Campbell, no
Campbell.
Campbell,
You talking about Charlie Campbell?
Charlie Campbell,
Yes.
Contender Series, and then if he gets a finish against Terrence McKinney, that's a really good resume to start off here. I would really like to believe that that's what's going to happen. Not that I dislike McKinney, but I've seen his ability to lose. I mean, it's frequent. So I would just say Chris Duncan's got this one.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head's at as well. Is mostly because Duncan is a dude who I believe like has the ability to have the wherewithal to know that McKinney comes in with the level of intensity that he has. I mean, again, this is one of those things we talk about fighters like knowing your opponent, watching tape, things like that. Like this should be pretty basic stuff. So I'm like, maybe it's a wrong mindset to have that like that should just be a given that these fighters do that, like do the tape study and all of that. But with Chris Duncan, I got to believe that this should be the case considering it's Terrence McKinney. This is like, again, the poster child for killer be killed. So if you know that a freight train is coming at you at the beginning of the fight, I believe that Duncan has the skill set to be able to navigate that, get himself out of harm's way and go toe to toe with that as well. Like if he's going to come in and try to rush him, Chris Duncan's just going to have to rise to that occasion. We've seen him in grudge matches where he can take that kind of punishment for long periods of time. all you got to do is get over the hump with that, get your own offense off. And I think he's a guy that can do that. Like Chris Duncan, I think, is a dude who has consistently, he's passed a lot of tests as far as I'm concerned. Like fight over fight, I'm seeing things in him that like you didn't see it the fight before, but it's like, okay, he's checking boxes now. This guy, he's got toughness, he's got finishing ability, he's got tenacity, he stays in the fight, for as long as it needs to go. He's starting to really come into his own as a fighter with a lot of attributes that really make him an attractive pick when it comes to predicting these things. Terrence McKinney, again, kill or be killed. That means you can be killed, and we've seen it a number of times. So I think that Chris Duncan's probably the safer bet here.
Yeah, I think I like this one for Chris Duncan. Just go out here and brawl. I don't want to see too much grappling because we know this fight's going to end early. So just don't waste our time. Just go out there and slug. Just get it over with.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, make it the exact fight that it can be. I mean, this should be a very entertaining fight if everything goes the way we think it's going to.
And Rolly Chihuahua, you do make a good point. He almost got finished by Campbell, yeah, but then he just slept him. Like, and I talked about that with Campbell many times. Is like he'll be having a good fight and then just magically just gets chinned and he's just now on the ground. Like I don't even know what happened. That happened in his last performance. I'm pretty sure too. He was looking pretty good and then just started getting rocked. Same thing with Chris Duncan. He had the upper hand on him and then Chris Duncan planted his feet and just dropped a Hail Mary on him. I think similar could happen. Terrence McKinney could get a little overzealous, and then Chris could just bomb him one time, and the lights could get shut off for McKinney. We've seen it time and time.
That's literally what I think is going to happen. Like, because this is Terrence McKinney's style is to go in. Like the reason he is Mr. Round One, the reason that he doesn't see the judges ever is because it's 100% all gas, no brakes. Duncan is a guy who I think that as long as he knows that that's coming at him, that's a problem that he has an answer for.
And if you want the sauce on how to make money, one of these days it's going to happen. Just take McKinney by decision. Call it a day. Call it a day.
Yeah, for real. I mean, which one it's going to be is always up for debate. But there'll be one guy out there that it's going to be like, this is going to be the or really what it'll be too. He's 31 years old now, so give it maybe 3 years, something like that. Let him get a little bit farther down where he starts to slow down in the first round a little bit. You'll see the pattern starting to form. Eventually, it'll happen. Yeah,
there we go.
I agree. Also seeing in the chat talking about Karate Combat being on Friday there. I don't know what your plans are, Chase, but I very well might be checking that one out.
Good deal. Yeah, I think I'll get off work and want to check out one. But if we are not at work already, we might watch some Karate Combat.
So yeah, keep your eyes on the channels, plural. All right. Next up is Grant Dawson. I was wondering where Grant Dawson's been. Grant Dawson is fighting Manuel Torres. Dawson is 23-2-1, 4-1 in his last 5. Unanimous decision wins over Damir Ismagulov, Joe Selecki, and Diego Ferreira. Knockout win over Rafa Garcia. Knockout loss to King Green. Manuel Torres is 16-3, 4-1 in his last 5. Knockout wins over Frank Camacho, Nicolas Mata, and Drew Dober. Submission win over Chris Duncan. He has a knockout loss to Ignacio Bahamondes.
Grant Dawson was 21-1, I believe, or 22-1 when he stepped into the cage to fight Bobby Green, who has possibly 5 knockouts to his record. Not many of them being in the UFC, and then presumably for $70,000 takes a dive. That's how I read that situation. But other than that being the fact that I believe Manuel Torres submitted Chris Duncan. Chris Duncan is a very good grappler, if not one of the better ones that I would say that I've seen with my own eyes. I mean, he submits people. People fall asleep when they go into his submissions. Grant Dawson, on the other hand, is said to be the best wrestler at American Top Team, said by Chris Duncan. What does this mean? I don't know. Chris Duncan is the best wrestler that I've seen from American Top Team. Grant Dawson don't do a lot of wrestling he finished Rafa Garcia. I'll give him that. I think that's who that was. Give him that. But the wrestling for Manuel Torres, I mean, I think he's going to start him on the feet. Grant Dawson's wrestling is just not going to be able to. It's just, listen, I'm sick of hearing about it. Manuel Torres is going to start him on the feet. Grant Dawson he got chinned by Bobby Green. That's all that I got to say here.
Yeah, I mean, this is another one where I think that the wrestling negates. Manuel Torres is a dude who, he can hold his own in that regard. And if Grant Dawson thinks that this is going to be another one of his patented 3 rounds of, lay and pray and hold him down and get on his back and just, have his way to octopus him, get limbs all over him and just stick to his back. I think that Manuel Torres, that might work for half a round, that might work for maybe a full round, but I just don't see it working for an entire fight against Torres. He's too skilled to let that be the end all of the fight.
The funny thing about Torres is, and it's not just the Bahamundez performance where you saw this. You see this in a lot of other fights that he has. He literally has one main combination. He throws it 1-2 and he overextends on the two every single time. I don't know if he's ever going to get better and stop doing that. I've always said that it's going to get exploited. I mean, it did by Bahamundez. Everybody's going to see exactly how to do it from here on out. I thought Drew Dober was going to be the one to be able to catch him, but that is not what happened. Grant Dawson is also not the caliber of striker that matters enough to be able to exploit what Manuel Torres does bad in that situation. Grant Dawson's just going to fucking stand there and hopefully get destroyed by a 1-2 instead of slipping and doing the right things. Whatever you want to say, Bahamundez did exactly what needed to be done in that situation. Grant Dawson, he's just not going to do that.
You
So
make a good point. I completely forgot, but you are absolutely correct about Torres with that overextension because that was a big note from our last discussion about him. But yeah, I mean that really goes to exactly what you're saying. Dawson, the striking is just not there. When was the last time you saw Grant Dawson get into a striking battle of any kind?
Bobby Green, he got chinned, dude.
No, but
I
I'm saying
mean,
no, but that wasn't a bad. I'm saying when has Grant Dawson ever gone toe to toe striking with somebody? Is what I'm trying to
yeah,
say. Rafa
true.
Garcia a little bit. I mean, not even really. I mean, Rafa Garcia was not really. He was halfway out of that fight before the fight started. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So Grant Dawson, he's not. He leans on a very specific skill set, one that I think Manuel Torres has an answer for. So you cross the two of those out. If it's going to be on the feet, Dawson's not going to be able to protect his chin on the entire fight. I just think there's going to be a time where he's going to get clipped.
Now that we're breaking it down, showbiz. No way Dawson's better than Gamrot. If Gamrot's at American Top Team, is Sean Brady also at American Top Team?
No, Sean Brady is. Oh gosh, is he? No, I wanted to say he was
The
Chicago.
reason
That's
I
all in
the
Chicago.
the reason I think that he might be is because all of these dudes fight exactly the same. They just have no fucking stand up and they just think wrestling and holding people down. Like they think that they're doing what other people are doing, but they're not. And I don't know, Grant Dawson. I'm just not seeing it. I lost money on you one time and some people they get some mercy and I have a little grace that I'll give back to them and they'll get a second chance. But Bobby Green knocking you out with a fucking just a straight right down the whatever. It just looked a little fluky even back then. And that was before we knew scandals were even possible. We thought you all were above it, but I know Grant Dawson is. I know he's got a couple $70,000 fucking paychecks, dude. Jesus Christ.
I mean, he's got a wife with an ass that he can bounce a quarter off of. She's got that don't come cheap, is all I'm saying. Uh,
True.
no, I don't know. I mean, all again, all things being equal, I think that Torres is a more dynamic fighter, and he's not going to allow Grant Dawson to get into the exact same pocket that he always gets into. That's what I really lean on when it comes to Dawson is that you have a very a skill set that works for you, but it's very predictable. And I would think it's one that there are going to be a number of exploitable holes in over the course of a full fight. Like Torres, I think is a guy who can exploit those.
100%. Brady's in Philadelphia, by the way.
Yes, there you go. That makes a lot more sense.
Good deal. But
All right,
so who you taking?
I'm taking Torres. Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's take Torres.
All right. All right. Well, getting into main card here. This is Jan Blachowicz versus Bogdan Gushkov. Jan Blachowicz is 29-11-1. He is 1-3-1 in his last 5. Knockout win over Alexander Rakic. Submission loss to Glover Teixeira. Split decision loss to Alex Pereira. Unanimous decision loss to Carlos Earlberg. His draw was with Magomed Ankalaev. I'm sure you recall that. Bogdan Gushkov is 18-3. He is 4-1 in his last 5. Knockout wins over Zach Pauga, Ryan Spann, and Nikita Krylov. Submission win over Billy Elikana. Submission loss was to Volkan Uzdemir.
This is another one that I have the same things to say that I had about Marvin Vettori that I do about Jan Blachowicz. This is a guy who's proven. This is a guy at the top of, he's still at the top of the game. He didn't get knocked out by Alex. He took a draw to the former champion. I mean, what is telling you guys that he's not going to be able to take Bogdan Gushkov to the second round, and then Gushkov does nothing because he's tired, because he's a first round finish or a go home type of guy. You know, Blahovic is 42, but that makes me inclined to, and it's not even that he's just 42 that I think he'll be the veteran prowess, but like his game has always been to pull those veteran type fucking moves. Like he's always going to put you in the fight that you don't want to be in. He's always never getting chinned. He's always walking forward. He's always, he's got volume. He's got Polish power. He's got he's very good at checking leg kicks. He'll throw his fucking whole shin into his other. He is very, very good quality for 42 years old. Gushkov is going to cast out in the first and have nothing to offer for the later rounds. I think Jan could get a late finish here. I think that's even more likely. And he's 42 years old, guys. I know he's old, but he's good, very good.
Yeah, I mean, look, I want to believe that, but what I have seen consistently, unfortunately, with Jan is that, he's one of those dudes that gets so close to the victory, and then whether it's the judges that do it or something in the fight that does it, there's some act of a higher power that gets in the way of him actually getting the nod. And when we're talking about calling the fights, it's hard for me to lean on that because I'm a fan for a long time of Jan. I mean, Polish Power was birthed with Jan Blachowicz, basically, as far as the meme of it, so to speak. The use of that term comes from this man, and there's a reason for that. We've seen it many times, but we have seen so many unfortunate circumstances. I mean, this is the guy, really. Remember when Alex was when they were looking for opponents, and I think it was around the Khalil Roundtree fight when that got announced, and Khalil was like number 10 or whatever, and people were saying, I mean, Jan is the dude who, if there was anybody that deserved, or maybe it was when Yuri got the rematch announced, and people were saying, if there's anybody that deserves a rematch, it's Jan, because Jan is the dude who probably beat Alex as far as, like if you go point for point in that fight. Debatable, of course. I'm not saying that it's absolutely facts, but split decision, that speaks to it. But did he get the win, though? That's what I'm talking about. It's things like that. We were talking about it with the Carlos Holberg fight. I mean, if you wanted to go point by point, there's probably a case to be made that he was the more active fighter in that fight, probably got some of the stronger shots in that fight. But did he get the win, though? It's things like that. And now, granted, you're making a strong case, going off of the comparison to the Vettori fight, because this is Bogdan Gushkov. He's newer. He's a guy that, not as tested at these higher levels with a guy like as vetted as Blachowicz here. But it's just hard for me to side with my dude, Jan Blachowicz, given the circumstances that we've seen. And it all started with the draw that just sent us down this path that just never seems to have gotten better for him.
Yeah, but then you give him a matchup against a guy that, he rightfully should be able to beat. Again, you look at the people that Jan beat. Gushkov's name does not go next to Israel Adesanya, Alex Bejeda, Magomed Ankalaev, Carlos Olberg, potentially. You know, Luke Rockhold. You can just grab any of these people that Jan has just matched up with, beaten, and or lost to closely. Bogdan Gushkov was 13 milliseconds away from being choked out in the first round by Billy Elikana. So that, I don't know. And Billy Elikana told him to fucking finish me. Like, so I don't know.
True. No, I think you're making very solid points. Same points. Excuse me, same points that I thought were very solid with the Vittori prediction. But again, it's where are they at currently? What have you done for me lately, kind of thing. And I like, do I want Jan to win? 10,000% I want him to win. I would like, do you know how awesome it would be to see 42-year-old Jan Blachowicz have a career resurgence? I think it would be an amazing triumph of the will when it comes to that type of dynamic. I think, having the sheer will and power to bring yourself out from the depths that he is currently in would be phenomenal. Do I see it happening? And yeah, you're right. This is not necessarily like some high level person that is currently in the echelon that you're talking about, but could he be the next wave? I'd say that Bogdan Gushkov has as much of a chance as anybody else of being part of the next wave of the division. So this could just be the time, is what I'm saying. And time, unfortunately, waits for no man.
Showbiz, yeah. Anthony Smith Doppelganger is just not that good. I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, he gets a lot of hype because ha 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 ha. He looks like Anthony Smith. He's from Uzbekistan, but he's just not that good. I mean, he got submitted by Volkan Oezdemir. That's a fucking striker, mate. Like,
Yeah, that is true. That's a good point.
and that was you can if you click on Bogdan Gushkov, you could see that loss recently in his last five. Like it literally shows it in the little box that shows the recent. Like if it's outside of this last five, I can't even see it without clicking show more. So be it. But if it's right there, and it's against somebody like dude, he's 33 years old too. Like he's way too old. And I think another thing about Gushkov that people just widely just like don't realize is he's way too small for light heavyweight. It's as if he just doesn't cut weight at all. He
Yeah,
could clearly make 85, but
that I'll definitely give you that. He is definitely undersized for the division. That's
yeah.
true.
I
Yeah.
mean, it says 6'3", but I mean, he's pretty frail and doesn't look that tall to me.
I was
It's
going to
just
say that does not track as far as the eye test goes. 6'3". I mean,
no.
because if you're saying he's taller than Jan, I mean,
Mm.
I mean, maybe it's just who he's been fighting or whatever. Maybe
I
it's
mean,
the optics.
Elikana is pretty fucking tall, but
That is true.
but I think he's 6'4", and I'm pretty sure he made Gushkov look a little tiny, but that's just me.
Fair. Well, so then you're thinking that the phoenix rises with the Polish power.
I think there's a scientific thing to it, and I talk about this sometimes, and I genuinely do believe when it comes to the fight game, it's inches. There's inches to there's the inch between grazing your nose and clipping your chin and you going out there. It's just a small inch. Having a beard, I think there's something about it when you are trying to punch somebody who has a beard in your mind. Once you get to the beard, that's the end of the punch. When there's no beard, the cheek is the end of the punch. You're making full contact. I think that extra inch is just that extra inch is all it's taking. That Jan's beard is covering it. Josh Emmett, you can give a lot of people credit for these chins, and it's just because they have big, bushy beards that the depth perception is just off. You just don't have the range targeted correctly. And I listen, Yuri Prohaska for the longest time, he wasn't getting chinned. I'm just saying, guys. I think there's something there.
I mean, as meme worthy as this assessment may be, myself and Vitz King on one of the watch alongs confirmed that there is scientific backing to that theory that
Nice.
having a beard does a negligible yet still noticeable, it's still scientifically valid amount of damage reduction. So, that being said, this is the expert analysis that you're getting on last week's fights. So,
No, literally. This is why I'm taking Jan Blachowicz because he has a Polish beard.
there you go. Bingo. I mean,
Gushkov has no hair on his body, clearly. Look at this picture. So,
exactly. Full head of hair on Jan plus beard, no hair at all on Gushkov. The answer is clear, people.
yeah, we're taking shirts versus skins here. We're taking shirts with Jan.
I love it. Well, I mean, it's tough for me. Like I said, I want to believe. Heart saying Jan kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like I really do want him to win this
But
fight.
why would your brain say Gushkov here, though? Like, what in
What
his
I
game do
what
you
I
think that
said
he.
though. Yeah, no, I get like all of what you said tracks. It's the fact that Jan, whether by hook or by crook, I mean, it's just one of those things. We've seen him win fights and still lose fights. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like people said that he might have won the Ankalaev fight. Obviously,
Hmm.
it went to a
I thought
draw.
he did.
So there you go. So this is what I'm trying to say. It's like we have seen so many times where it's just like the universe conspires against Jan Blachowicz. I don't like it, but I just got to go with what I'm go with the flow kind of thing. You
Yeah,
know what I
but
mean?
those are decisions, though.
So
This
you
is
think he's
not.
finishing Guskov?
Well, I don't think Gushkov is gonna. I mean, it's not even gonna be close if it gets the decision because Gushkov has one good round, and if he doesn't get it done in the first, I mean, he may not even win the first round if he doesn't even get it done in the first. Like that's potentially how bad of like he doesn't do anything but swing wild hooks and just runs in there and just does a bunch of bullshit. And if it works, he's cool. He knocks out Ryan Spann. Woo! Like okay, like I mean, it's not Zach. When you said Zach Pauga, that dude literally just lost to Rebellis de Spagna. Like
True.
I don't know, bro. I don't know. Jan is, I know 42, and I know I hate on the old heads, but clearly, if you are a good old head, you can gain some respect in this corner over here. Because Jan is Tell me now if you took Muslim Salikov or not.
No, I did not.
Okay, fair. All right. Okay. If you would have took that old man, but you don't want to take this old man, I would have had some very big issues because this is the quality of old men that I feel like you should be telling me. Like when we talk about the old heads, and I say they got to get finished eventually. One of these days they get finished, and all you're going to do is say hats off. It's because they're old. This is the person that I say it doesn't apply to. Nicholas Dalby, another person it just doesn't apply to. I I don't know. Kushkov is not. I just don't see him winning outside of the first exchange. If he doesn't chin him, I mean, that's about all he's gonna give.
All
That's
right.
just
Well, then we'll see it. I
mhm.
mean, I guess the choice is obvious for you. Jan Blachowicz. I mean, I'll go with him. I'll go with Jan. But you heard what I said. You know what
I
I'm
hear you.
saying? So, all right.
If he gets chinned, I mean, we'll have a funeral for him or something because that's horrible.
Well, and yeah, I mean, this is kind of fighting for your life in the organization, I would say, really. And I mean, he might be one of those guys that they keep around for longer, and he'll continue to fight guys below Gushkov level. But like, what's really left at that point?
Yeah, I actually this is pretty interesting showbiz. Gushkov is from the same bullshit gym Shara Bullet trains at. That is interesting. I did not know
Hmm.
that is if that is the true statement, that is an interesting parallel. But yeah, bullshit gym. Yeah, Gushkov's training the shit that Shara does, but Shara actually does bullshit well. Gushkov just throws his fucking hands out there and sometimes can knock out a person who's not very good at fighting. But
All right. Well, again, we shall see. I'm certainly hoping for a career resurgence for Jan Blachowicz in this one.
I, career resurgence. See, do you hear how they talk about you, Jan?
Brother, he is 1-3-1 in his last five.
I'm just saying, man.
I'm just saying.
1-3-1 when it literally could be 3-1 and like
But what is it? What is the boots on the ground, my man?
it's a BS draw and then a split decision that the narratives can be flipped on. And even with the Olberg thing, I mean, split decisions mean something. Like if it was unanimous decision, okay, but split decisions in a draw, there's no reason to be like, man, he needs to come back to full form. It's like he just lost a single step, maybe. Like it's not like he fell off and he's getting 30-26. It's like, okay, 29-28, and one judge gave it to him. It's like he hasn't fallen off. We don't need him to make the climb back. It's like he just has to do the same stuff and just have an opponent that's not as good as the other people that he's been fighting. I mean, and the
True.
people that he's been fighting are champions. So
All right. Well, then, like I said, you sold me, Chase, but we're going to keep coming back right next week. And
yeah, if Gushkod chins him, I don't know if I'll be back next week after that one, guys.
exactly. We're going to have to sit you out. We're going to put you in the timeout for that one.
All right.
All right, let's keep moving on here. Henry Cejudo versus Peyton Talbot is up next. Cejudo is 16-5, 3-2 in his last five. Knockout wins over Marlon Moraes and Dominic Cruz. That's how far back we had to go for his stats here. Unanimous decision losses to Song Yadong and Merab Dvalishvili. Split decision loss to Aljamain Sterling. Peyton Talbot is 10-1, 4-1 in his last five. Knockout wins over Cody Simon and Giannis Gamori. Sub win over Nick Gary. Unanimous decision win over Felipe Lima. Unanimous decision loss to Hani Barcelos.
All right. This one is interesting because what Hani Barcelos did well against Peyton Talbot, Henry Cejudo has like multiple gold medals of what that sport is just wrestling, and he's very good at it. Uh, will that come into play, and will Henry Cejudo be able to win the fight as Hani Barcelos did? I would love to believe so. I would love to believe so, but I feel like I feel like he wouldn't come in here with the game plan to wrestle Peyton Talbot. He always tries to come in here with this fucking karate stance and he thinks he's fucking McGregor sometimes. And brother, just fucking use your gold medals. Like I don't get where you don't come like you need to be wrestling, mate. Like You are already in a weight class that's out of your element. You got to use the things that you're good at to your advantage. Don't fucking sit here and start to try to strike with Peyton Talbot, because he's literally probably going to be the second person to knock you out, which was Demetrius Johnson. Apparently was the first one. I didn't even know this until a couple days ago. But Peyton Talbot, Jesus fucking Christ, this dude's 5'4" at bantamweight. You cannot give him respect on the feet. Don't let him fool you. He's a little troll. You can starch this dude. I know it may listen, 38 years old is not the oldest that we've seen. Certainly not the youngest, but for somebody who's never been finished, you're in that area where you could get finished. I know I didn't make the argument for Jan. It's because he has a beard. Cejudo doesn't have that chat of a beard. It's just a little scruff. He's going to get chinned by Peyton Talbot, I fear. And if and I fear that because he might try to stand with him. If he just fucking uses his gold medals, I think he'll be fine. Honey Barcelos had a field day with this guy.
Well, to my point, the point that I would be countering to that is actually Showbiz's same point, is that I think that Cejudo is just checked out. I mean, even when it comes to the wrestling, if you recall in the Song Yadong fight, he was trying to initiate some entries. Song Yadong was able to just use his movement well enough to not let him get the entry points. That was something that was a little concerning to me in that fight, because I would see him starting to try to set up a single leg, and then he would just abandon it because Yadong was just on his bike. He was out of the range. He was in a different position. He wasn't able to initiate the things that he did well. So he kind of had to lean on his striking, and then Yadong was just piecing him up. Peyton Talbot, not necessarily as fast, I would say, as Song Yadong, but probably similar skill, if not like the same type of skills, but like if you're just talking like across the board, like the stats bar, I'd say that they're kind of in the same echelon somewhat. So I just think that Cejudo's best days were on the earlier side of his retirement. He has not been the same person since he has come back. That was a gamble that did not pay off, and we've been seeing the results of that. All of these losses have been recent. I mean, he's not looking good. He's not looking like that guy who won all those gold medals anymore. And I think that this is a chickens coming home to roost type situation there. Peyton Talbot, one loss to Hani Barcelos and then rebounds. I mean, this is exactly what a guy in his position should do. What my initial note was going to be about Peyton Talbot is that, we all can kind of still have this image in our mind of him as being like this new kid on the block. He has 5 fights in the organization at this point. He's not exactly like this, the fresh-faced youngster anymore. I mean, he is, but he's not. You know what I mean? Like, has the octagon time. He's gaining the experience at this point. I think this is another example of line goes up, line goes down, and then they're meeting right there in that middle. And it's just an unfortunate time for Cejudo because Peyton's on the trajectory on the upward.
I think it's just, even as somebody who I like Peyton Talbot, I don't have a problem with him, but even somebody who would be a fan of him should certainly question what level of Dana White privilege this dude has. Because you lose to Hani Barcelos, you lose all the momentum that you've ever once had. Then you come back and you get a decision win. Now you get to face a former fucking champ, double champ at that.
But it's Cejudo on the losses, though. I think that plays in, though, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is not. It would be a lot different if Cejudo, like, even if Cejudo was on like a checkerboard right now, he's on a losing streak.
Yeah, but like, anybody who's on a losing streak, Israel Adesanya is on a losing streak now. But anybody who gets him, it means something if they get to fight Israel Adesanya to put his name on their resume. Peyton Talbot getting to put Henry Cejudo's name on his resume after just losing to Hani Barcelos, I mean, it's a little fucking questionable.
I think that goes into organizational politics, because I don't think anybody at the UFC considers Henry Cejudo in the same category as Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, fair. I feel, yeah.
So, but and again, I like, even with that being the case, though, I mean, I like I was saying initially, it's this version of Henry, and that's, I think, really what this all boils down to. This is just a dude who is not himself anymore. Like, he tried to again, it was a gamble that didn't pay off. He tried to play this whole, I'm gonna try to get what I'm worth. He didn't get that. Nothing. Career stagnates, hits the wall when he's out of the organization. Nothing doing for him. Comes back in. Not the same guy. All that time off didn't do him well. I mean, you can say it's ring rust. You can chalk it up to whatever you want it to be, but there ain't no ring rust anymore. I mean, all of those factors are what they are, cemented now. So this is the version that you get. I think that Song Yadong really exposed a lot of that. And like I said, they're not exactly the same type of fighter, but if you're just looking at it on a strictly a flat playing field, I'd say that Peyton Talbot and Song Yadong are similarly, in my mind at least, I rank them in a similar category. So that being said, we saw what Song did. I think Peyton Talbot does something similar.
I think the last thing that I'll make, last point, is Henry Cejudo. At the time in his career where he wanted to be the Triple C, he was dedicated to his craft and he worked almost probably every day. Now he's at the point where his craft is sports entertainment. This is the back end of what he wants to do. He just thinks he can hop off the podcast chair and go compete again in the UFC when he's not taking his craft as serious as he once did. And he's at an older age now where it's even more crucial that he should be taking it more serious because his body's not gonna it's not gonna add that extra compensation for whatever he's lacking. I think it's just not going to be a good performance. Peyton Talbot's probably just going to. I'm really hoping we get the first finish that I get to see of Henry Cejudo. I like Henry Cejudo, but the karate stance, it was cool back when you did it against DJ. That the first time when you came back, whatever. Peyton Talbot though, I you just can't let that happen. Just don't let me watch that karate stance for 3 rounds. That's what
Just
I'm asking.
very quickly to play devil's advocate, though, I mean, what you just described about coming off the podcast chair, we just saw Kamaru Usman do exactly that. You don't think that that's possible for Henry?
Oh fuck yeah. No, because Kamaru Usman one has this ability. I've seen recent pictures of Henry Cejudo. It does not look like he stays in fight shape. I mean, it looks like he's been hanging out with Kelvin Gastelum. Kamaru Usman stays in fight shape. He is always fight ready. He is also at, when it comes to size and athleticism based in the division that he's in, he matches up well with a lot of those people. Henry Cejudo is 5 foot fucking 4. I would say it's a little harder for him to just hop off the couch if you haven't been working out or training with people at a different size and stature than you consistently. That when a 5'10" man comes up against you, it's going to be a lot different. Maybe in your mind, it's like, oh, I've done this before. I'm very experienced. I've had plenty of fights to tall people. But it's like, if you're not actively in the gym working on it, we're going to see. I don't know.
True. Yeah. I mean, it tracks to me. I'm in the same camp. I think that I don't necessarily know about Peyton finishing him, but I think that he's got enough skill at this point. Again, like I said, he's not a newcomer anymore. We got to get this image of Peyton Talbot being, the fresh faced new kid on the block. It has to erode over time. I mean, he has a good amount of octagon experience now at the highest level, not the highest, but, in the UFC. I mean,
Mhm.
I think that he's getting himself to the point of really coming into his own now. We work the kinks out with the one loss, perfect timing for the loss as well. Comes back better in his next performance. This is an extension of that.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. Next up is Brandon Moreno versus Tatsuro Taira. Good matchup here. Moreno is 23-8-2. He is 3-2 in his last 5. He has a doctor stoppage TKO over Davison Figueiredo, unanimous decision wins over Amir Albazi and Steve Urseg, split decision losses to Alexandre Pantoja and Brandon Royval. Tatsuro Taira is 17-1, 4-1 in his last 5. Knockout wins over Carlos Hernandez and Alex Perez. Sub win over Hyun-Sung Park. Unanimous decision win over Edgar Shirez. Split decision loss to Brandon Royval.
Okay. Everything that you said is very good. It's flyweight. It's all competitive. We got a lot of different names that are shared between them. Not a lot, but Brandon Royval is the one that shares between them with a split decision loss for both of them. Good matchup on the matchmaker side here. I think this is the most fireworks of a fight that we could have got post Royval for Tatsuro Taira. I mean, this is banger work here. This is going to be scrambles. This is going to be a lot of good striking, a lot of good grappling, yada, yada, yada. I think if I'm going to go ahead and take a split decision on this card, it has got to be this one. Nobody is going to clearly define who is winning these rounds. If I see a unanimous decision, I will throw up because this is two people who don't deserve to have a unanimous decision loss to each other on their records because they're both so skillful and they have exactly what the division needs for a top competitor as of right now. They can keep it interesting. Just if I get the Tatsuro that was against Royval, I think Tatsuro should win this one. But again, That split decision is what I think it'll be. Brandon Moreno is not somebody who's going to get smoked. He's not going to lose convincingly. He's going to make it as close as it gets. And then we're going to have some suspense going into the judge's call here. I'm taking Tatsuro 17-1, arguably could be 18-0 with a split decision loss. It, and that was coming off of a fight. If Tatsuro knows one thing, he knows how to compete. That was the fight against Royval was as close of a competition that I've ever seen in mixed martial arts. It was legit back and forth, splitting rounds, and then the fifth round was as close as you can get.
Arguably fight
Tatsuro,
of the year that year.
exactly. Tatsuro Taira has the ability to make anything happen here. Brandon Moreno is also this, Swiss Army knife of a fighter, which all flyweights at the top of the division need to be, unless you're specifically amazing, and we'll talk about this in a little bit. Tatsuro Taira, I gotta go with him, but I am very aware that Brandon Moreno could steal this away from me very, very easily.
And really, I mean, that's kind of where I land. Brandon Moreno is a dude who, I was just talking about Jalen Turner earlier in this stream, coming back after a little bit of a sabbatical and, wondering how he's going to look. Well, Brandon Moreno did just that, came back looking 10 times. I mean, like, not 10 times better because he always looked good, but coming back just in peak condition and form. I mean, his return fight was nothing short of a masterclass. So that's the level of fighter that you're really consistently getting out of Brandon Moreno. Tatsuro Taira also extremely consistent. I mean, this is a one of those like unmovable object, unstoppable force kind of fights. You know what I mean? Like both of these guys have such a clearly defined skill set, and they utilize it consistently, fight over fight as well. So you have a very competitive fight here that's going to be probably a lot of two-way action, I would think. Tyra's probably going to have a little bit of an advantage on the ground if he can get him down. Moreno, a little bit of an advantage in the striking is how I would look at it. It's really just a matter of where this fight navigates itself to. Like if Moreno's going to be able to stuff those takedowns, he has a little bit more advantage on the feet. It's almost a shame that this fight is a 3-rounder. This really this deserves to be a 5-rounder for sure. So all of those things being equal, it's very hard for me to ever go against Brandon Moreno. What we have seen from him in this division consistently, and still 31 years old. Matt, go back through this man's record and look through all of the wars that he has put on for us in this division in that short amount of time, in the short amount of years that he has been doing all of this. In the grand scheme of thing, a lot of fights in a short amount of time, still more time to keep going. And I don't even think you can really improve upon the skill set, but still put on amazing performances. Tatsuro Taira, 25 years old. This is an insane matchup between these two, really, at crazy points of their career, because they are so skilled, both of them. I'm leaning on the experience a little bit, and really this is as much of a coin toss as I think that we're going to get. Split decision, I think, tracks it tremendously well for the type of fight that I believe this is going to be. That all being said, I'm going to go with Brandon Moreno. Got to go with what I know, and Moreno getting the win is something that I've seen enough times to be confident in it. This is two baby-faced. Brandon Moreno, the baby-faced assassin. They're two baby-faced guys, but don't let it fool you. This is going to be a knockdown, drag out war of a fight, I think.
Yeah, I would love a split decision here just because I think it's what both the fighters deserve. But I obviously got to see who's going to perform better. I would love to see it be Tatsuro, but Moreno is somebody that I genuinely do like to root for. He makes compelling performances, is what I would say.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too. Last real point that I have about this is that, like, we talk often about flyweight, being one of the most, if not the most competitive division, very exciting division, of course, but also one that there's a reason that we have this carousel of repeat characters at the top of the division. It's because these guys have really set the cream of the crop rises so dramatically at flyweight, and Tatsuro Taira, to his credit, at 25 years old, has gotten himself into that equation. So in and of itself, that's an amazing accomplishment to even be mentioned amongst the Royvals and the Morenos and these types. Pantoja up there at the top. This is a guy that, even if he does not win this fight, is going to be on the next wave. He will not be leaving that echelon. Once you ascend to that level, like, I don't think that there's going to be anything that's really going to knock him down unless he gets on a really bad losing streak and it starts to show like noticeable noticeable cracks in the armor kind of thing. This is not going to be that. Um, it's just Moreno has already been there and has already been on that cycle for so long at this point that these kinds of fights, it's old hat for him at this point to go into a war.
Sometimes, I feel like I said this about somebody more recently, but Tatsuro is one of these guys that I truly believe that, you should be happy. Well, if you were happy that he took his loss to Roy Val, I mean, he was 17-0 at the time. If you were happy, you're in for a treat because he is only going to get better. Losing is only going to make him better. Now that he took that loss to Roy Val, he knows how he could have won that fight. And that was as close as they got with the top of the division. So just be on notice that this guy, he took a loss and it's only going to make him better, and he's still got plenty of time to go. He's 25 years old at 17-1, just took a loss to the most skilled person in the division up until a couple months ago. Tatsuro is no joke. I like him a lot.
Same. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, a win or loss does not change the opinion of him, really either side. You know what I mean? This is just one of those fights that I'm just glad we're getting this fight kind of thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, so there you go.
So
Again,
who are you taking?
oh, I'm taking Moreno. Yeah,
All
absolutely.
right, I'm taking Tatsuro. I
There
will
you go.
definitely go for it.
Like the stream that you think has the more base takes.
Hell yeah.
All right, co-main event of this thing is Alexandre Pantoja versus Joshua Van. I know that Chase is excited for this one. Pantoja is 30-5. He is 5-0 in his last 5. Submission wins over Kai Kara France and Kai Asakura. Split decision win over Brandon Moreno. Unanimous decision wins over Brendan Royval and Steve Urseg. Joshua Van is 15-2, 5-0 in his last 5. Knockout win over Bruno Silva. Unanimous decision wins over Edgar Shirez, Cody Durden, Ray Saruya, and Brendan Royval.
This is what we do this for. This is the moment I've been waiting for about a year now. Josh Van is finally getting the recognition that is due. I've been rooting for this dude since his second fight in the UFC, and now we're finally here. He's ready to see if he can take Pantoja and take his belt off him. The instant thing that I'll say that stuck out to me when you were reading off the names of everybody that was beaten. Alexander Pantoja, geez, I can't say anybody's names. Pantoja's, he went to decision with Steve Urseg. That should be enough said right there. Steve Urseg is not very good. We know this, and he went to decision with him, and it was a split. Joshua Van, we should not be surprised if he gets all the way to the decision. The thing is we should be surprised if he doesn't whoop Pantoja, because I'm telling you, this dude's gonna be the striking volume, the way that he's able to push a pace with striking. He never steps backwards. He's always walking forwards. He's got good takedown defense to back him up. Pantoja lost on the feet to Figueiredo, and that's mainly why he was losing that fight. Joshua Van can do everything that Figueiredo was doing well in that fight, which is walking forward and punching. Pantoja has a good idea that he can take a lot of these punches and he can tire his opponent out, because once they see that it's not going to work, Kaya Sakura, you can give me everything you got. You got one round, get it out. And then the next round, I'm just going to choke you out. Same thing. Kai Kara fronts, you get everything, you get it out. Get it out your system. And then once you realize it's doing nothing, I'm just going to take you down and I'm going to drown you. I'm going to choke you out. Josh Van is different from these other fighters. I hinted at it a little bit ago. Flyweights, you have to be so well-rounded and skilled. You have to be so good at everything. Josh Van is very well-rounded and very skilled, but the difference is he's so much better of a striker than he is at everything else that he does. His striking is 10 times better than all the other average skills that he has. It just elevates how good he looks because what he does with his striking is so impressive. He could put a pace on Pantoja that he's never seen before. He could put the first 5-round fight that this dude has. I mean, if it even goes to the 4th round, you could see legendary striking numbers from this guy. I mean, I hate to break it to you guys. This dude has set the record for most fights with like 200 strikes in under 8 fights or whatever. This dude's fucking ridiculous. He does good shit. If Pantoja decides to let him try to tire himself out, he's going to end up losing rounds because Josh is a very, very good striker. He does not get tired. He can do it. He can do it all day. And if you want to try to wrestle with him, from what it looks like, he's got some very good takedown defense. And listen, I know Pantoja's different. I know his grappling is different. But Josh Van, I mean, until I see somebody be able to wrap an arm around his neck and choke him out, I'm gonna believe that it's not gonna happen. And I've seen him punch a lot of people in the face, and I've seen Pantoja get punched in the face by a lot of people. He's 35 years old. It's not the oldest, but time will tell. And if anybody's going to be the one to knock Pantoja into another stratosphere or do something that makes striking look like a weakness for Pantoja, Josh Van has the ability to exploit that the most. I think Kai Kara France, he has the power for it. He doesn't have the volume. None of these guys had the volume to stand with Pantoja because once they tire themselves out, there's no more power, there's no more threat. Pantoja can do what he wants with them. Josh Van doesn't have that. There's no luxury for Pantoja here. He's going to get 5 rounds of volume striking that are going to add up, and I truly do believe Josh Van has got this.
I hear you. I mean, we were talking about this on, I think the stream from Saturday, and saying how Josh Van, it's a whole different world when you have 300 strikes to the face,
Yeah,
as opposed to what these other guys have done. But that being said, you're talking about the takedown defense, and Josh Van has had some pretty good takedown defense. But I'm of the mindset, as you kind of alluded to, that Pantoja is different. Pantoja is the meme of the main boss at the top of the mountain kind of thing. The all of the fallen soldiers all around, the one guy making his way up, and you're seeing what's at the top after all of that. And that is what Pantoja has become in this division, lapping this division. I mean, I'm very happy that Josh Van is here to imbue this with some new life, and I do think that he deserves this shot. And I think that he has a more than a puncher's chance. He is the puncher to have the chance. You know what I mean? Like that, he embodies that. The boxing is some of the best that we have seen in the sport in recent memory, and that is an undeniable as far as I'm concerned. But I do think that Pantoja, you're right that he will lose rounds if he is inactive and just allowing the striking to happen. He does not do that. Like, he will not let that be the end all of it. It's like, okay, I'll take the shots. I'll gauge the power. We have seen that Van, not necessarily a consistent finisher. Not saying that's impossible, but Pantoja's got a pretty hard head. That being said, feel him out with the power in that first round. At least let him get a little bit out of his system, get his hands on him. 2-3 rounds worth of that's going to be where I think the problem starts to come in. Van does have great takedown defense, amazing takedown defense for a guy who only started wrestling a few years ago. I mean, he really is a prodigy in a lot of ways. That being said, you are going up against the final boss, and it's a boss fight, brother.
it's crazy. You actually, when you said it, I kind of, it like spoke to me. Like this could be our next BJ Penn. Like, here we go, guys. He's coming, the prodigy for real. Like, he's just that's he's naturally gifted at fighting. I mean, he genuinely can just pick up a lot of different things on the fly. I mean, it's not necessarily on the fly like, oh, he's just never trained it. It's like in the moment. Josh Van is getting a lot of flack for what he said on, I believe it was the Ariel show. They like, what are you doing to prepare for Pantoja? Like, what's your game plan? What are you thinking? And Josh, and I think this is a great answer from Josh, because with Pantoja, this is a good answer with the champion. He said, I don't have a game plan. Why? A lot of things can happen in there. Everybody has a plan, and then they get punched, and then things go on. I'm just going to go in there and play it by ear. Whatever happens, I have planned accordingly for all different types of things. But whatever one is the one that I'm faced with, that's when I'll have a game plan. I'll figure it out then. And I think you can't go in here thinking you have the key. You're not going to go in here and it's not going to go your way. Play the cards that you're dealt, go in there and figure it out on the fly. I think that's the best thing that Josh can do. You know, just go out there and have fun. You're 24 years old, dude. I mean, 24 years old, you got the title shot that you rightfully deserve. You're going to be around for a really long time. Just, I don't know, just be ready that it could all actually amount to you being the champion of the world on this Saturday. I would say that.
For sure. And really, to that point, this is another fight that, like, losing this fight, unless he loses in some dramatic fashion, which I don't necessarily anticipate, I mean, is a submission likely, not likely. I mean, could it happen?
I
Yeah, I
would
mean,
say it's likely. I mean,
yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Is how like if he gets him down, that's going to be the
yeah.
it's what I was saying. You know, I kind of referenced that we had talked about it. What I had said was that my if I was going to be giving any kind of advice, it would be to get your shots in and then get as far out of range as you can. It's you have to be very quick with your fast shuffle when it comes to Pantoja because any amount of distance closing that he can do, he will do, and that that's consistently fight over fight. Whenever he's getting swarmed, it's an instinct. He is a champ for a reason with that. I
Yeah.
mean, like it's the instinctual switching of like he Van talking about being able to kind of be loose in there and not have like a defined game plan. Pantoja embodies that. Whatever you're going to be bringing to the table, he will on the fly adapt to it instantly. I mean, it's a drop of a hat kind of thing with him. So you give him any kind of space, he will exploit it. Gets you to the ground, it could be a definite problem. All of that said, I mean, I understand where you're coming from with like, if it's working, stay with it. Cause I say that a lot myself, if I haven't seen otherwise, then, I got to stick with what I know. But what we know from Pantoja is dominance.
I think the most likely scenario for Pantoja to win, and this I think, I mean, he may not be able to get Josh Van down, but it may not be his plan. He may fake that he's going low and just jump right on his back and get a standing RNC. I mean, listen, he did that exact thing to Brandon Royval in the first fight, I'm pretty sure. So I would not be surprised if Josh Van is expecting him to go low and Pantoja swoops around on his back and it takes a minute. Josh Van might be, trying not to let him get the choke, but eventually I think we're going to see him. If a submission victory for Pantoja is going to come, I think it doesn't get to the ground because Pantoja doesn't want it to, obviously. But I think his game plan would to be, I can do it on the feet. I can just sneak around and whatever. But I truly do believe that it could be Pantoja's time up. Josh Van could change the evolution of what the flyweight division is going to be. Let me just ask Pantoja this: what would you do for $70,000 right now?
At Cash Patel, I don't know. I don't think that. I mean, a champ probably is not in need of that. In fact, he was the one who was saying he has to be the champ because he doesn't have other options. He's doing it for his family, kind of thing.
Mhm.
He needs to retain as long as he can. He doesn't want to go back to Uber driving,
True.
or door dashing or whatever he was doing. So this guy already had it figured out. Being the champ, that's good enough of a payday for him, I would say. Now, Van could be ushering in a new wave. Everybody's time has to come. It's just hard to say with Pantoja that like this specific what we have seen, the specific skill set of Josh Van is going to be the thing. Now, granted,
Mhm.
Josh Van does his thing better than we have seen from almost anybody else, really, in a lot of ways. Like I said, the boxing of Josh Van is unparalleled in a lot of ways. I mean, like, think of another guy, and you can take it outside of flyweight. I mean, like, as far as consistent technical striking goes with the volume that he has, it's really like he almost is in a class of his own in certain senses with that. Like, I mean, I'm sure that you could find it, but show me another guy with the stats that he has when it comes to the volume. I mean, it's really got to be very, there has to be a level there that he is surpassing. So that all being said, has Pantoja not seen that type of volume before? Yeah, I mean, probably not exactly like that, but can he withstand that type of volume? I think so.
We'll see. I'm very excited for this matchup. I really cannot wait for Saturday because I truly believe, as you can tell, with my Myanmar flag up, we will be repping Josh Van and we will be taking the belt back home.
Hey, and I'd be happy for it too. And as I said, lose this fight doesn't really drop the stock all that much unless it's some kind of brutal knockout or a really quick submission. If it's like a fraud check situation kind of thing, then okay. But other than that, Josh Van is going to be fine either way. But it would be cool, and it would honestly be kind of refreshing in a lot of ways for flyweight. We were just talking about that rotating cast of characters at the top of flyweight. Like, some new blood would be kind of welcomed at this point. Let it be Josh Van.
Hell yeah. If it's going to be anybody, let it be Tatsuro or Josh Van. Jesus
True.
Christ.
Yeah, I'm with that. So all things being considered, you're going with Josh Van,
I'm
as you
going
said.
with Josh Van to finish Pantoja by knockout in round 4. Call it.
Oof. Wow, that is a bold prediction. I am going with Pantoja. By submission, yeah, I want to say by decision actually, which I think is kind of crazy. But Josh Van going through a 5 rounder and coming out the other side, we did see that. So I'm sticking with the champ again. Go with what you know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of championship fights, that brings us to the main event of this thing. This is Merab Dvalishvili versus Piotr Jan. Your situation with Josh Van and having watched him ascend is almost to a T the exact situation that I have had with Piotr Jan. I've seen every single fight that he has had in the organization, so definitely been a fan for a while. Merab Dvalishvili is 21-4, 5-0 in his last five. Submission win over Sean O'Malley, unanimous decision wins over Corey Sandhagen, Umar Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley, and Henry Cejudo. Piotr Jan is 19-5, 3-2 in his last five. Unanimous decision wins over Song Yadong, Davison Figueiredo, and Marcus McGee. Split decision loss to Sean O'Malley. Unanimous decision loss to Merab Dvalishvili.
Okay, so the thing is, the only thing that I have to say is Peter Yan, he is seen as some super exciting fighter by the fan base. Me and the Mank in the Discord, we have officially decided that we are no longer believing this. He is fun. He is fun. But he is not one of the most exciting fighters on the roster. He is fun and he's good, and he downloads the data for round one. Okay, cool, cool. But statistically speaking, I'm looking at the stats from the first fight. Merab shot 49 takedowns on him.
Good Lord. That is an insane stat.
He landed 11 of them, mind you. So the fact that he was able to get up 11 to 12 times or whatever it is, shout out to Peter, but you lost 50-45 on all the judges' cards. And he does say that he had a broken hand or something. And he's like, if you go back and watch, I never did anything with my right hand. I I may have seen some clips that might corroborate that story, but I think the key is he shot 49 takedowns on you. I mean,
It's
there's
what he
not
does.
there's not enough time in between him attempting takedowns for Peter to score points that mean anything. So, okay, he shoots, okay, he stuffs it, we'll get a one. And okay, before I can even land a strike, he's shooting again. And then maybe he gets that one, or if I get up and then he shoots again. Like, it's just a never-ending
Yeah,
result.
I mean,
I
if you break that down, that's 10 takedowns per round.
mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
-1. I mean, that's a ridiculous stat. Um, I like okay. Well, let me at least counter the excitement argument from Piotr Jan. Yes, we all know that Piotr Jan drops the first round. This is known. I too am not a fan of the downloading the data bullshit. I don't like it. I never have liked it with him. What I will say is that once he does do that, he picks up his striking in a way that is, I would say, very entertaining and exciting. I mean, I think that he is a extremely technically skilled fighter. I hate that he drops that first round. It doesn't bode well in a 3-round fight. It does not bode well in a 5-round fight. It never bodes well. You know me. I am Mr. Start strong. That is, I'm constantly saying that. Come out strong. Have a good, strong showing in the first. It sets the tone for the rest of the fight. He is a person that breaks that rule, but does it exceedingly well when he has a dance partner that allows it. This is the fatal flaw. We often talk when it comes to rematches, what is going to be different? What is the thing that has changed? Now you're saying that there was a hand injury. That's what he was saying. Okay, fine. Like you said, I will allow for that. Does it change anything about Merab? No, it does not change a thing about Merab. Merab does the same thing every fight and does it exceedingly well. This is the difference in a guy like Merab than any other dude who has that same set of attributes that you're talking about with a consistency type thing. Like this is the difference between a Merab and a Grant Dawson. We were just talking about Grant Dawson having a skill set that he does not deviate from, but Grant Dawson ain't Merab with the way that he enacts the game plan. it's consistently dominating, and and it's the cardio that will not let up. I mean, all the things that we talk about with Merab, they ring true fight over fight. The reason that Merab is able to be as active as he is, one of the most active champions that we have currently, is because of that consistency. And it just is not going to change based on Piotr Jan having his hand healed up. I don't see what Piotr Jan does differently, adjusts in his game plan, in the fight style that he has shown consistently fight over fight. What does he change? I don't think he changes anything. I think we get a very similar outcome in this fight.
I also would like to think that we're gonna get a similar outcome. I mean, they fought a while ago, so maybe Peter's just been cooking up some master game plan for when he finally gets his revenge, you know. But I've seen plenty of good strikers. You know, Sugar Sean, a good striker, couldn't do anything with Marab. Eventually, ended up getting finished in the rematch. What does that say for Peter? Let's not be too hopeful. Marab, when it came to Corey, people would say Corey's a great striker. I listen. Marab did his thing against Corey, even had moments on the feet against Corey. Peter Yan is a good striker. I mean, he fits in with all of those other bantamweight strikers. You know, split decision with Sugar Sean. You know, that's a point right there. Marab is just gonna do what he's done to all of the other strikers, which is pick them up, drop them on their butt, tell them to get back up, and then rinse and repeat. I mean, there's not really too much more to it. I mean, he's gonna do his whole things, and you're just gonna have to accept that that's what's gonna lose you the fight. People really don't like the meme ability that Marab is able to score on the judging. Win the fucking fight then. If you don't think his memes can win you the fight, how about you go fucking win it then? I don't know. So I I'm gonna go with Marab. I got to.
The only thing that I could see going Piotr's way, and talking about him having a different bag of tricks or anything like that, you're right. Maybe he's worked on his takedown defense, drilling it every day since their last fight. I don't think that that's the thing, though. What I think is the thing is going to be him breaking that bullshit downloading the data thing. Like, don't drop the first round. If you come out like Terrence McKinney, see how that works out for you a little bit. I would say that if you come out here stronger than you ever have first round, especially for a guy that you've already fought, think about that aspect of it. What data do you need to download? Everybody on the planet knows what Marab brings to a fight at this point. It's consistent, dominant pressure always. So if you know that that's what's coming back and you've already fought it for as many rounds as you have at this point, come out here and have that be the difference maker. Catch Marab off guard. I think that that's a big thing that a lot of these guys don't like. They don't anticipate having to have that as one of the skills in their arsenal. That, like, maybe if you actually like bring something to Marab that he's not anticipating, it might throw him off of his game a little bit. You think about the way that all of these fights have started. Corey didn't come out super strong. I mean, he had a couple of moments early on, but not, nothing amazing. Umar maybe a little bit stronger, but still eroded over time. Probably wasn't, supposed to be in that fight at that early anyway. Go back through the list of the guys that Marab has fought. You have not seen a guy just go in there and try to take his head off from the start of this thing. If Piotr Jan walks in there and just starts decking Marab left, right, goes in like he would be in round 3 and round 1, maybe you have a leg to stand on with his excitement factor playing into why he could actually win this thing. But if he doesn't, and he starts, having this slow start, lets Marab do what he does. Marab is a train that does not go off the tracks. So you let that thing get out of the station, you're going to have a bad time.
I would just hate to be the fan of Peter Yan, right? And listen, I'm not the biggest Marab fan. I am part of the Marab mafia. I am. But Peter Yan, if he spends 50 minutes in this cage with Marab and doesn't win a single round, I mean, what can you even say? Like, he's already, you can't say, he's the best right underneath Marab. I mean, if he goes to decision with Marab and gets 50-45 again, like that's horrible. That's like horrible.
I mean, or really, at the other side is what we've talked about on this very show before. Marab is making a case for being one of the goats of this sport, not just of the bantamweight division. I've always said that this is the exact fight to me that will make him the goat of this division. Like 3 fights ago, I was saying this. I was like, clear out everybody that they put in front of you, and one more with Piotr Jan. You can go back, run the tape back. Have said that exact thing. This is the time. So really, I mean, like, again, with if we're talking about methods here, it's like if Piotr Jan doesn't bring something new to the table and this is another cakewalk, I think it says, yeah, that Piotr Jan probably, should not have, it shouldn't have had to have been Piotr Jan again, but more so, it just speaks to what Merab is. And that is one of the best fighters that we have seen in the modern era of the sport. I mean, it's one of those things, like you can try to fact check that or try to dissect it however which way you want based on what he does and the fact that he's not much of a finisher, but we did see a finish recently from him. Put that into the equation, perhaps. Either way, this is dominance plus an actual compelling element to it. We just saw Islam Makhachev and Hamzat Chimaev put on performances that were less than compelling. Merab does it, and it's actually fun. I think that there's GOAT elements here, and you can have your opinions about it, but those are mine.
True. I respect it. I think Marab is going to get this one done. I think I've made up my mind.
Go in there and take his head off, Piotr. And this is coming. Like I said, I know I've watched every single fight. This is the level that I was at the time that he was coming into the organization. I went back to his fights pre UFC, and I watched one of those that he fought over in Russia. That's how I gained like the anticipation to be like, okay, this guy might be somebody to watch out for. And I saw him evolve and mature in this sport. I've been riding with him all the way up until the Aljo acting incident and all of that with the illegal knee. It's been a long and strange road for Piotr Jan. A lot of things have not worked out how they may have otherwise. This road takes a lot of twists and turns. This is your opportunity to write yourself back on a path that you might have already had under different circumstances. So go out there and rip the head off of this man's body, and then everything changes in an instant. I just don't see it happening.
I agree.
All right. So, Merab from both of us. And that will do it for our predictions for UFC 323, people. Another one that should be entertaining on paper. And of course, the last pay per view for the foreseeable future. So, you can watch these fights along with myself and or Chase here. We do our individual watch along. So, or you can watch these fights with me and possibly the Vitz King, most likely the Vitz King, at youtube.com/@YamaShow. And Chase, I know you can tell them where they can find you.
They will find me on youtube.com/@CPSmalls. Every Saturday the UFC is going, occasionally Tuesdays if there's Tough and Dana White Contender Series, and every Friday mornings watching ONE FC. So make sure you're there.
Make sure that you go and hang out with my boy Chase for those ONE Championship fights. They are awesome, and a great time hanging out with the homie in the chat. I am on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YamaShow. Make sure you follow over there. Make sure you go and watch our review of Warrior, by the way, and MMA on Film. We're getting a next one of those all cooked up, but go and check the current one out in video form right now. Appreciate you guys. It's been a really active chat. The conversation was really good for this one. So thank you all for being here. We appreciate that very much. We will see you for fight night. Until then, have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week. And as always, fight on.